teams acting as one. Every week, we come together to witness these gladiators of the gridiron pour their heart and soul into the field. This is Friday Night Rivals, driven by Cruz Chevrolet.
Good afternoon. Welcome to McKissick Field as we kick off South Carolina and Georgia high school football. Darren Goldwater alongside Dean Stevens. We're glad you're with us for Friday Night Rivals on a Saturday, driven by Cruz Chevrolet. And you want to talk about a matchup that highlights the entire week's slate. How about this one? Two perennial state powers from two different states.
Absolutely, and they come in here red hot because today we've got about 90 degrees with about 100-degree field temperature. It is going to be a smoking game tonight, and we've got some great talent.
There's a ton of talent. There's Division I talent on both sides of the ball. 12 total guys likely playing Division I next year. We're going to start with Cedar Grove, and that defense is loaded.
Take a look at the names as well. You talk about defense, you've got an Alabama commit, but I can't wait to see the wide receiver Jaden Hazelwood line up, both offensively and defensively. He's a Georgia commit. Kind of reminds you of A.J. Green.
The question for Cedar Grove's offense, can they get him the ball? The offensive line and the quarterback position will be what we watch. Talking about the quarterback position for Summerville, Jonathan Bennett highlights those D1 offers.
Yeah, one of the offers going to Liberty. We saw Bennett last year, then got hurt. It's going to be a great matchup. A lot of talent here in Summerville tonight.
Looking forward to this one. The Friday Night Rivals, driven by Cruz Chevrolet, is on the way.
Looks like we don't. I remember back in the 80s, we had 100. It looks like there's not.
Anyone know who won that coin toss?
I didn't even watch.
It is the home for high school football here in Charleston, South Carolina. It is John McKissick Field, where they are in search of another state championship. Plenty in their history, but none since 1998. And it's a hot one to kick off the 2018 season with Cedar Grove, a school just outside of Atlanta. The game time temperature brought to you by Roper St. Francis, where experience matters. It is a hot 89 degrees. There's plenty of humidity out there as well. a feels-like temperature, certainly into the 90s. Let's crunch some numbers, brought to you by Anderson Brothers Bank now. And this is a game where Division I talent is going to be all over the field, particularly for Cedar Grove, Dean, defensively. They gave up 73 yards a game on the ground, less than 75 through the air last year.
Kicking off at 5 or 6.
There's a reason why that these
Hey, why is Carter not doing balls?
because they got some great talent.
Is he getting punished?
Now, Cedar Grove is a 3A school out of DeKalb County, just outside of Atlanta. There are 21 schools in that county, and if you are to ask the folks here at Summerville, look, 3A for a team coming out of Georgia and that county, the experience and the size of the school in Cedar Grove, it is just like a 5A team down in this region. In fact, Joe Call, Summerville's head coach, told me yesterday that if this team, Cedar Grove, were to compete in Summerville's region, it would really be the three of them, Summerville, Cedar Grove, and Fort Dorchester, as the three top dogs in Region 8 5A here in South Carolina.
Well, we got the bus test. They passed the bus test when they walked onto this field today. You saw some of the guys up front weighing well into their 300s, guys going to Alabama, and you talk about having dominating the offense and the defensive line. That's where we're going to focus when this game gets going on. And then you take a look at the return man, number 2, that's Jaden Hazelton. The guy can score both offensively and defensively.
It will be the Saints of Cedar Grove who take the opening kickoff, and Hazelwood can't take it away from his teammate. Instead, it's Rashad Jordan here, who sidesteps his way up the middle of the field, bounces off some green wave, and that's a heck of a return for the Saints. They'll start this possession at the 41. If you're looking for the time of the game, so are we. The scoreboard is not working today, so we'll do our best to keep you updated. Here's our WOW starting lineup now. Kendall Boney is going to get the nod under center. We should also see Austin Smith play a good bit at quarterback. They don't have a player on this offense who took a varsity snap last year. It's the quarterback and the offensive line that needs to catch up with everybody else for the Saints.
Absolutely, and as you take a look, this kickoff return is going to come back a little bit. There was a push in the back, so we will not start at the 41-yard line. It's going to probably go back to about the 26 or so.
All right. Appreciate that, Dean. So as they step that penalty off, our WOW starting lineup defensively for the Green Wave. All the way towards the bottom there, you see number 99, Ben Mitchum. He was all low country last year, and he is all but assured of a Division I spot next year. He's got an offer from Wofford, which is about 3 hours up the road, and Spartanburg, and a couple other FCS offers as well. Well, I told you, Dean, we would see some Austin Smith, and we're seeing him here from the opening snap. Instead of Boney, it will be Austin Smith, a sophomore, who will make his first career start here for Cedar Grove.
You talk about how are you going to handle number 2, Hazelwood. This kid is the number 3 ranked wide receiver by most scouting services, number 1 wide receiver in the state of Georgia. And it looks like it's going to be a one-on-one matchup with number 21, Kevon Gregory.
A lot of speed for Cedar Grove. It's a spread attack that's designed to run, but they'll take a shot on first down, and he overshoots his target. That is Hazelwood, not only a Georgia commit, but part of the U.S. Army All-American list as a junior.
You know, prepping for this game, watching football games here dating back to the early 90s, you think about some of the great talent that's rolled through these gates, not only for Summerville, but for some of the visiting teams that have come in here. And when you talk about the wide receiver position, I don't think there was anybody better that's played on this field than A.J. Green. And I think that's the comparison this kid is looking at.
This is a guy they call Pop. It is Robert Jones, and he didn't go down. He bursts his way for a first down and a pickup of about 17 yards here on second down.
What do they call that, yak?
Sure, plenty of it.
Was that a classic yak?
It was.
Right?
The good type of yak.
Absolutely, but that was looking like a 3 or 4 yard gain that turned into about a 12-yard gain. Yep. Breaks 2 tackles at about the 16-yard line.
Cedar Grove made the trip down from Atlanta today. They will drive back following the game as well. They'll do this a lot. They'll put a screen out on the edge, and with a flag down, Rashad Jordan is bumped down just about the 40.
Looks like it's going to be a hold on Antonio Taylor, one of the wide receivers set out to the right side. And not only they're not going to announce the kid's name, right, but the way you see the hands come up like me, right, you know maybe it may have been number 29.
Yeah, they give you a break in high school. By the way, these officials are all part of the South Carolina High School League, refereeing this interstate game. First time, actually, Cedar Grove has traveled out of state, let alone for a televised game, but for any game, and they'll do it again next week.
That's back-to-back, heading to Alabama next week, and one of their powerhouse teams down there will be shown on ESPN.
Tough schedule to start out for Jermaine Smith Saints. Once again, little screen out into the flat.
Nice job by Colby Taylor, the senior linebacker. He spotted that play, came across the field, made the tackle at about the 26-yard line or so, 28-yard line. Came a long way to pick off Jordan. But you see how they like to play. You're not going to see too many tight ends in this set. You're going to split two out here on both sides.
Summerville's got the base 3-4 look. They will walk linebackers up to the edge of the line for this second down play. 2nd and 10, and Smith can't handle the snap, but he's able to keep this play alive and only lose about 3 yards. He's eventually dropped by Colby Taylor, who will be playing Division I ball, likely at the FCS level next year.
Well, I think what we can say in the first, I've looked at the clock, maybe just shot. How many times have we looked at the clock? Obviously, the first few minutes of this game, first game jitters. Big penalty on the return, another penalty on a pass play, a fumbled snap.
Highly touted kid, Austin Smith, but he didn't play quarterback last year when he was over at Woodward Academy. They utilized his talents in other ways, but here's a guy who's been at the Manning Passing Academy the last few years, and Cedar Grove loves him. Pressure comes right at his face. He'll take a shot for Hazelwood, and the Saints will have to punt. And we got a late flag in.
So there's a little stop and go pattern by Hazelwood, and the ball was simply just overthrown. 21 does a nice job. The Gregory again assigned to him. Stay with him. And then kind of gives him, I think, a little push here at the end. I don't know if it warranted a flag, but
I think the flag will come against Hazelwood here.
Yes, Hazelwood.
Yeah. So Hazelwood targeted twice on the opening possession for Cedar Grove.
Yeah, so it'll be 4th down, and they're going to tack on another 10 or 15 yards.
Somerville could also decline this penalty and force him to punt.
You know, the amazing thing, too, is you were talking about the Manning camp. How many different camps these kids go to now that are available to them, you know, that really weren't available 5 to 10 years ago. You know, so you want to go, I mean, you talk about a big stage. I mean, listen, ABC News 4, MyTV, Watch.com, or Stadium.com, those are all big platforms. ESPN gets a little bit bigger. But you go through and look on the internet, you see Hazelwood working at camps at Texas Stadium this summer. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No. I mean, that's the cream of the crop right there. So the penalty is accepted and the loss of down. And this will be Luis Dominguez to punt, sophomore who averaged shy of 30 yards a kick last year.
Again, they are struggling trying to get their personnel in on the Cedar Grove sidelines. See if it ends in a timeout here. No, it's going to end in a delay of game, a flag.
Now, part of the issue, again, we'll discuss this throughout the broadcast. There is no working clock inside of McKissick Field right now. The time is being kept by the officials. So you talk about a tough opener for both sides, but first for Cedar Grove, you drive 5 hours. You've been struggling through the heat all camp long. You come out here, you're ready to play some football, and you have no idea what's on the clock.
Now there's a timeout called on the field. And I'm going to tell you this, when we pulled into the parking lot around 3:30 or so, And I really think that's when their buses pulled in, because that's when I first started seeing their players kind of walk behind the stadium, starting to go through their stretches, which is an hour and a half before game time.
Time out on the field. We'll get you back here momentarily. Cedar Grove and Summerville. So the issue that has been going on here with Cedar Grove, it's an equipment issue that then led to a delay of game penalty as they were rotating linemen in. Not all of their knee pads were low enough, covering the knees. It's a rule that's strictly enforced in South Carolina. I can't speak to the level of enforcement in Georgia, but clearly it has rattled the Saints a bit.
Yeah, their head coach on the other sideline is visibly not well.
Andre Banks is back to return this one as the Green Wave got some pressure on Dominguez. And this one kicks and basically dies right where it lands. May have even hopped backwards a couple of yards.
You know, going through the statistics and looking at pregame notes, the one area that this team, Cedar Grove, that you're like, okay, where's their weakness, right? I mean, we showed the graphics earlier. It wasn't offensively or defensively, but their special teams, their punting unit last year was averaging about 28 yards a punt, and that's about what you got right there.
And not even after it was stepped off. Here's your WOW starting lineup. Offensively for the Summerville Green Wave, Bennett is heading off to Liberty. That's where he's committed. At the bottom, Dalen Powell, the offensive lineman, already committed to Western Kentucky. Big opportunity for the Green Wave to have such good field position to start this game, but they're going backwards. Banks is able to get that ball out, and it will be intentional grounding.
And I think that was the play drawn up. I think that's exactly what they were trying to do, but so much pressure from that Cedar Grove defensive line. And I think leading the charge there was, who was it, Eagle, number 54, Quentin Eagle.
And what's amazing about this Cedar Grove defense, you just don't see this across the board in this area of South Carolina particularly, and you're talking about an area that has produced a lot of Division I talent coming out of Fort Dorchester, here at Summerville, over Wando. Well, Summerville's lining up against Cedar Grove here. They've got three guys likely who will be playing in the SEC in their front seven. A linebacker who's a junior as a sophomore. Number one, Isaiah Ratcliffe, was the Defensive Player of the Year in DeKalb County.
As a sophomore.
Right, and to the best of their recollection over at Cedar Grove, it's the only time it's ever happened. Second down and 30. Here comes that line crashing in again, and no time for Bennett to set up the screen.
Not only are they big up front, they're fast up front.
Yeah, and that was the Alabama commit, Rashad Cheney. Those starting lineups brought to you by WOW. Now for the WOW. Whole home Wi-Fi starting lineup. No slow zones, no dead zones, just WOW zones.
So their first play, they tried a little trickeration. They were going to try for the little pass from Banks off to the handoff. The intentional ground him, set him back to the 44-yard line after setting up at the at 21, so a 23-yard loss, and then right there, a little screen pass blown up by that front four of Cedar Grove.
So field position that began at the 22. Now they're looking at second down. Check it, it's third and 32. And nice find there by Bennett. Coming back across his body, he finds Andre Banks right around the initial line of scrimmage there, down about the 21.
So what do you love about that play? You love the fact that they get Bennett out of the pocket after having so much pressure in the first three plays of the game, and watch him set his feet, finds his receiver on the inside. Now you're looking at about a 4th and 9 to go here from the 20-yard line. Back in the day, they had some kickers that came through here that John McKissick would have rolled out to get a quick 3 points.
Not today for his grandson. McKissick's Joe Call there with the red wristband. The head coach Call, the offensive coordinator Spivey, although Call is the one who will signal in the plays. Here's Bennett now on 4th down as he's falling down. He throws it just wide of Pedro Rios, covered there tightly by William Jenkins.
So there you see the issues that the front 4 or 5 for Summerville will face today. And they're going to have to figure out a way to work in and around that pressure that Cedar Grove is going to bring every play. They were blitzing off the corner on that one, never really gave him an opportunity to find a guy in the flat.
This will be the second possession now for Cedar Grove. To the best of my ability, I would tell you we're somewhere around the 8-minute mark in the first quarter.
What do we start with, 12?
12.
Okay. Had a lot of stop clocks.
Tons, a lot of incompletions, a lot of penalties already. Trying to find your footing here in what is still technically called week 0. And it looks like there is still even more confusion here as the Saints will slowly make their way back to their sideline.
No, people asking, is it a TV timeout? And no, it's not our fault. No, it's 100 degrees out there. We want this thing get done within 20 minutes.
Alongside Dean Stevens, main anchor for ABC News 4, I'm Darren Goldwater. It's not exactly the type of game or the start necessarily that either team was hoping for. A little bit patchy here. Speaking of that, third member of our crew, Scott Eisberg. Welcome to Friday Night Rivals on Saturday.
I've just got a microphone. It's so light, it's so airy, and we are here with a guy who knows all about high school sports, Tyree Moore from Synovus Bank. He knows high school sports because his son was one heck of an athlete for Academic Magnet, but you are here right now representing Synovus. Here matters. That is the catchphrase.
Here Matters is extremely important to Synovus. That's our community outreach program, Scott. And it's just the core value of Synovus. We love to give back to the communities we live and work. As an example of that, our United pledges this year, we were 150% of our goal. Our team just cares and wants to give it back. Another example, last week we were out at a opening for a school popping popcorn in 100-degree weather. Everyone was hot, tired, but just proud to be there. It's a great program with Synovus.
9 locations you said around the low country?
We have 9 branches strategically placed in the low country, Myrtle Beach and all the way down to Hilton Head. Yeah.
Tyree Moore, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you all season long, and thanks so much for your sponsorship. Tyree Moore from Synovus Bank. We'll be talking basketball as well.
That's right.
Sounds great. That's Tyree Moore.
All right, Scott, welcome to our esteemed Friday Night Rivals crew. What we missed on that first play, it was just a couple of yards on the ground for Robert Jones, but it is the other quarterback in now, the senior Kendall Boney. After Austin Smith couldn't get this offense on track, it'll be Boney for the second possession here for the Saints.
Ben Mitchum with a nice tackle, holding Jones to about a yard gain.
There's Jones again. Look at that cut, and he's able to keep his feet. He's got one man to beat, and Jones angles his way towards the sideline. Kalen Johnson eventually cuts him off, and he's down inside the 30.
What's his nickname again?
Pop.
That's why.
Pops the runs.
Right. Great job by waiting for his hole to fill. There he goes. Great interior blocking, and then you see the speed. Nice pickup of about
49 yards.
There you go.
Now, something we've seen almost every play so far for the Saints, especially the plays on the ground. these guys aren't going down easily.
No.
One hit has not taken down a ball carrier yet for the Saints.
Got Smith coming back at quarterback as the ball's inside the 30.
That was the quarterback he sent to the sideline.
They also bring in Mekhi Gilstrap, junior back, who takes this one away from Smith, and he's not getting anywhere. Maybe a couple of yards down to the 25. He's wrapped by Cole Phillips, one of the returning starters on this side of the ball for the Green Wave.
A Green Wave defense certainly anchored by 99 Ben Mitchum and Brian Scipio in the middle. But you see the defenders kind of holding up their blocks, letting the linebackers come in and clean up the mess.
Last year, Summerville advanced to the third round of the playoffs, lost to Dutch Fork, but without their quarterback. As Boney comes back in, alternating plays now for Smith. He is going to be about 2 yards short, and it'll be third down as Xavier Davis, the junior defensive end, brought him down.
Again, we're only into week 0, which is always a bit confusing for most. But in this week 0, the most impressive guy on the field right now has been number 8. That's Pop Jones. On third and short. I wonder if that's where the ball's going to go. 5'11", 190-pound senior.
He's a big reason why they are in the no judgment red zone. Brought to you by Planet Fitness. There he goes, untouched through the middle of the line. It is Pop Jones who pops the scoreboard. And it's the Saints who lead the Green Wave 6-0.
Well, it was just a third and short, but you see the offensive line doing their job, sealing blocks. And once he gets into the open field, size, strength, we've seen that already early. Galen Johnson doing his best to stop him at the goal line. Not going to happen.
That drive keyed by the 49-yard run from Jones, who was then able to pay it off in the end zone. Just a 5-play, 79-yard drive. Oral Ash, only a sophomore, puts it straight on through and tacks on the point after as the Saints march 79 yards in only 5 plays. We're about midway through the first quarter now, and it is Cedar Grove out of DeKalb County outside of Atlanta that has struck first here at McKissick Field.
Well, that was a great view looking from the end zone back in and how quick that hole developed and how fast Pop got through it. And that was one of the keys of the game. If you want to talk about that quickly, is for Cedar Grove is to get out early and get out often. Don't allow Summerville really to get any kind of momentum. But defensively, you see Cedar Grove just took Summerville right out of their element in that first drive. So, you know, if I'm traveling 5 hours and I get here a couple hours before the game and I'm playing in 90-degree weather, I want to put a score and put them on the scoreboard and put them up there quickly.
Green Wave had an opportunity. Their first possession started deep in Cedar Grove territory, but immediately they were pushed back 15 yards, and although they eventually got it back to about 4th and 10, they turned it over on down. So an opportunity loss for Summerville turns into a 7-0 lead for the Saints.
You really see the collection of talent, and thinking back through the years, what team could, you know, as we take a look at these guys, just physically, speed-wise, really every facet of the game, from, you know, the defensive line being as big as they are and defensive backs as fast as they are. You know, what team from the Low Country could we compare this Cedar Grove team looking back through the years? I think everybody obviously would say, you know, the 4 Dorchester teams that we've seen the last couple of years. But you go back to the old Walterboro teams back in the early 90s, and they were big, they were fast, they had a lot of great D1 players. Some of them went on to the NFL. And the grandfather of sports is about 50 yards from us down here, David Schultz. We'll have to ask him that question.
Speaking of big and fast, that was Isaiah Ratcliffe making the play on special teams after an 11-yard return. MyTV Charleston, ABC News 4, proud to present each participating homeschool a check for $500. The grant provides each school with extra funding to help make their school great. Over the past 8 seasons, Friday Night Rivals and our sponsors have donated $85,000 to Low Country students and schools. Congratulations from MyTV Charleston, ABC News 4, and Friday Night Rivals. Okay, so what's next for this offensive line for the Green Wave? Jonathan Bennett and company. Picking his way through, then finding a little bit of a seam for about a 7-yard run that looked like it may have been
21?
KJ Rollins. It was 28. Only a sophomore, up from JV last year, and this is the guy Summerville loves. They've already told certain college scouts, be on the lookout for this sophomore 28.
Well, he read that hole really well. It was blocked up in the middle and just kind of scooted outside of the tackle to pick up 8.
He was back there on that kick return as well. Bennett reads this one, pulls it, and gets planted by Isaiah Ratcliffe, who put up 162 tackles last year and in the process getting named the DeKalb County Player of the Year.
That's why, by the way. I will give Cole Collins, though, a little shout-out for kind of stepping up, helping out his quarterback, gave Ratcliffe a little push. Maybe something was said after that pop.
Yeah, this linebacking core behind that front 4, and there's a good 7 that can rotate through consistently for Cedar Grove.
Well, you know, the good news today, being early on in the season, and we've seen difficulties with the teams, special teams for Cedar Grove, offensively for Summerville. Now the chain gain. The chain gain's having some issues over there, and that's why I think we're hung up here at about the 31-yard line on the Cedar Grove side. Get a little kind of hung up on the chain, a link.
I can't tell if the down marker, okay, it was on 4. They couldn't get it to 1. They did that.
They only had all summer to work on this.
You know, they could have tested the clock a time or two.
Oh, they're about to come on. Oh, we got a food fight there. We got it on camera.
The Zaxby's fans cam. Proud parents, get your kids on the Zaxby's fans cam with a little bit of food fight, but these are just Nerf footballs being tossed out.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, not tomatoes. Again, we apologize for the no time being shown on your screen, but we don't have it either. So we are some way towards the latter portion of the first quarter. A first down for the Green Wave. Bennett alertly pulls this one and has about 5. Dante Walker was right in the backfield, and Dean, if Bennett handed that one off, it would have been painful for Banks.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's exactly why they missed Jonathan Bennett last year and exactly why he's going to play college football. He read that so well, and at some point in time, you just got a feeling as you talk about 28 KJ Rollins is going to get the ball in his belly and turn that corner for a big gain. You just see it being set up right now.
Second down and 5. Rollins isn't going anywhere. He can't get to the edge. Although a flag does fly as DJ Sims puts him down about 4 yards back.
Not sure if it's going to be a hold on Summerville or a face mask on Cedar Grove. Or they're just going to wave it off because
that's not a flag.
No, it's not
towel.
a flag. It's got to be against some rule, isn't it?
A yellow towel that is the same color as the Summerville pants.
Oh, it was Rollins.
There it is.
Yeah, it's Rollins' towel.
So it's 3rd and 10.
Again, see how fast that right side of the Cedar Grove defense was. I don't think they're going to be able to run on the outside of these guys.
I think that's become clear already just in a possession and a half here. Trying to get to the edge is a tall task here for the Green Wave.
He gets you.
Now we have a flag.
And again, not having a clock is a delay of game. But it looks like the play clock, the 25-second clock is working. Just not the game clock.
Correct. But there was a lot of confusion there. Certainly the play clock behind the offense read 25. I don't know if it started. Nonetheless, it's a 5-yard penalty. And the very choppy first quarter continues for both sides.
Yeah, what we have with Summerville is they get most of their positive yards between the tackles.
Here comes Jenkins on the blitz, and that one is knocked down. Fast. Man, they get into that backfield. They are on Bennett in the blink of an eye, and the Green Wave have to punt.
Yeah, 52 Rashad Cheney coming through, putting his big paw up. Looks like he's favoring his left side a little bit, pointing to his left elbow. That's the Alabama commit. You see him coming right up the middle and batting that ball backwards. So a couple of positive plays for Summerville, offset by a loss on a play that Rawlings couldn't turn the corner on the outside, and then another penalty backs him up. Will be punting from about the 10-yard line or so.
Yeah, this is a tough spot to be in.
And you don't really want to kick it to that guy.
Well, he's not going to have the chance here. Back into the end zone, he will get it off. Nicely done by Brody Hopkins just to save that thing. And Hazelwood is down 3 yards after he scoops it up. Wow, from bad to about as good as you could get right there for the Green Wave.
You know why Brody Hopkins did that? Because he's an athlete. We haven't gotten into the Hopkins family story yet.
We haven't. You can get there right now. I know he's going to play baseball at the D1 level.
He's headed to the College of Charleston to play baseball. Brother over at South Carolina has been there for 4 years, but covered his brother here as well, TJ. Yeah, nice play to set them up at their own, 47-yard line or so. That could have been disastrous.
Still good field position for Austin Smith and company. So third possession for the Saints. It is the second that'll be directed by this sophomore. 6'2", 180-pounder. It's Pop Jones again, yards after first contact for just 1 yard.
Yeah, DeMont Campbell had him 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and just Jones went right through his arms. So talking to their coach, did he any indication of why the two quarterback system, and does one bring in an element of throwing as the other one compares maybe to the other one running the ball?
Austin Smith, who you see right there, number 4, is likely the future. He is a sophomore. Kendall Boney is a senior. They think the talent and the potential for Smith is really off the charts. So the impression I got was that Smith could have a slight lead, but they were certainly eager to play both. Smith here gives one off to not Jones.
Wow.
Bouncing his way down to the 30 for a first down. So they finally spell Robert Jones. And in his place, got one to the freshman Rashad Dubinion.
Yeah, Dubinion's small in stature, but shifty. Taking it to the right and then back inside. Hazelwood taking off on that play. Not really sure why. Brought back on now.
Dubinion is the only freshman that is listed on the 2 deep. He's listed as a reserve safety. And I asked him, well, how hard is it to crack this lineup as a freshman? I said, first thing you look for is, are you scared? And they said, this kid's not scared. This is going to be the next Isaiah Ratcliffe. This is going to be the next name for Cedar Grove. Well, there's penalty on the Saints.
Yeah, delay a game. A lot of names when you're talking about, we talked about the 6 or so commits or soon-to-be commits, but last year's class had a 4-star offensive lineman that went to Georgia, a guy named Notori Johnson, a kid named Justin Schaefer at Georgia, also an offensive lineman. That was just last year.
Here's Dubinion. He's tripped up.
Had a defensive back that went over to North Carolina. Wide receiver over to Oklahoma State.
So you want to know why this team had a 23-game winning streak last year that ended in the state semifinals?
That'd be one of the reasons why.
That's why they were stacked.
Yep. In the last 4 years, 46 wins, 8 losses, and a tie.
And a state title in there and 2 losses in the semis. It's a team moving the right way and moving that way fast. 2nd and 14. Smith puts one right on the money. Touchdown. That's Rashad Jordan. But we have 2 flags down on the field.
3 flags. But I'm going to tell you right now, that was a heck of a one-handed grab. When you go back and you watch this replay. Yeah, there you go. See if there's going to be a pick called on the inside. Oh, tearing on, I think that was 8 or 9. Cameron Williams holding onto the back of his jersey, Rashad Jordan's jersey. Let's see what they call, because they're not.
So an eligible receiver downfield. And there's also pass interference.
So I got 1 of 2.
You did.
Right?
Yeah. The only thing you missed was that pick over the middle.
Well, it was a whiff.
Like my commentary, all I mean being at the same game.
And it is game 1 for the officiating crew as well. They're offsetting penalties. The ball should go back to where it was spotted. I've got it at the 34. It's about where they put it.
Not sure the total number of penalties we're looking at right here, but it's got to be no more than 6, less than 10, slowing up the first quarter.
Maybe we can keep that on the scoreboard where the time should be.
Maybe it's a good thing the clock's not running, so we're not really quite sure how long we've been here.
That's
Because this has been a lengthy first quarter with all the penalties, drop balls. Hazelwood still looking for his first reception.
They're going to come back to him, and he's wide open.
It's not going to matter. It's going to come back. There you go.
Look at him spin his way off of 3 different green wave tacklers, but we have flags in the backfield.
Yeah, holding.
If we had the lead referee, Mr. Glasscock, mic'd up for you, we would bring that to you, but we don't, so we're just relaying the signals. Even still, look at the talent here for Jaden Hazelwood.
Yeah, it comes right out of the, again, splitting the defenders. They've got him wrapped up.
And it's from the spot of the foul. Yeah.
And off he goes. I think if there's one thing that Summerville talks about, the first thing out of the blocks in the locker room is wrapping up.
There's your hold call.
I don't like the way they're able to
There have been very few offensive plays for Cedar Grove that a player was not touched and then picked up the majority of his yards following that contact.
Yeah, I think the only one was the long run by Pop, but you know, his first carry of the game.
That's the end of the first quarter. All right.
Tell you what, that's Cedar Grove coaching staff.
We're traveling 5 hours on a bus.
Yeah.
All right.
We got no clock.
But the Saints do have what matters, and that's the 7-0 lead. Things will smooth down. Things will calm down. We got some good high school football coming your way. Second quarter up next. From the Georgia High School Conference, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, at Cedar Grove, that has the touchdown lead after a 40-minute real-time first quarter. And they will have the ball here to begin the second quarter, looking at second down and about 30, a little bit more than 30, 32, after a couple of penalties have negated a couple of touchdowns in the final seconds of that first quarter.
Well, you certainly saw why Hazelwood is ranked where he's ranked. Anywhere you'll find him from the third best wide receiver in the country to about the 8 spot, but certainly the number 1 receiver coming out of the state of Georgia. And a Georgia commit, oh, by the way.
And that is him at the bottom of your screen. It is still the sophomore Austin Smith. That looked to be a design run straight up the middle, and Smith not afraid of taking on 2 different Green Wave tacklers. And he picks up about 12.
Yeah, the interesting part about watching a talent and seeing a lot of these guys, the guys up in the middle, they're going to do their work, right? Your skill guys, wide receivers, are going to want to just throw the ball up, I'll go get it. But on a couple of plays that I've watched, not much blocking downfield. On that run right there, could have sprung him for another 5 or 10. You just got to block somebody.
And here's another flag. If you're just joining us, the clock has not been operating from the beginning of the game, and I believe a second flag was just thrown as well. So there's your delay of game and a personal foul behind that.
Who was it? I didn't.
It appeared to be Austin Smith said something. So the unsportsmanlike is tacked on to the delay of game.
Had a couple of those already on Cedar Grove.
The frustration is evident for Cedar Grove here.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the 40-yard line.
And it's not just the players on the field.
No.
15.
Right, there you see him wondering what's going on. Not a ball flip, didn't throw the ball anywhere. Must have said something. But what are we looking at?
We are looking at 3rd down and 40. Got to get to the 20-yard line of the Green Wave. Unofficially, and this is very unofficial, I've been trying to keep track as it's been going on, I've got 6 penalties with really 1 play that was allowed to run in the last 7 plays. And that dates back to the end of the first quarter.
Right.
2 touchdowns were wiped off the board, 2 penalties right there on that 1 play. And while the frustration evident on one side, I'm sure Joe Call in Summerville is feeling the same way. There's no flow, there's no rhythm to this game.
No, none.
And it's not cold out there.
No.
Here's Smith patiently waiting to find Jones right there, but he is spun down by Bryce Scipio.
Bryce Scipio was on the ground, and it's almost as if Jones ran into his arm. And he was like, I got a guy. One of the better tackles of the day, and you never saw him coming. See a little screen over the middle. Yeah, there he is. He's like right behind him.
You know, had Scipio not found him as quickly as he did, Jones could have been off to the races again. Second chance to punt now for Dominguez. His first one was after the first possession for Cedar Grove, and it netted about 20 yards. And Summerville got a ton of pressure on him.
Yep.
Colby Taylor may have gotten a piece of that. Either way, this rolls down at the 30.
All right, so by my very unofficial Apple stopwatch calculation, I think we got about a minute, 3 seconds off the clock. So we got about a little under 11 minutes to go here.
All right, we'll do our best to be remotely close. And you know what? Oh, that was just a tease. For a second, I thought the actual scoreboard was working.
I'm not sure.
It's not. So here's Summerville now. It'll be their 3rd possession. And they really haven't been able to generate any consistency offensively. For Summerville, it hasn't been the penalties. It's been the speed to the edge of the Saints. This one is low, but it's scooped in for about an 8-yard pickup.
It's Hopkins on the outside.
Sure is.
Looked like it may have skipped a little bit. Got his hands underneath it.
Yeah, give it to him. Officially, Hopkins will get 6 yards here.
Again, so see if they change their offensive philosophy, get the ball out of Bennett's hands quick, keep the running plays between the tackles, stay away from lost yardage plays.
Third-year starter. Bennett rips through one potential tackler and gets about a yard. Looked like it was Chris Sanford, the inside linebacker, who had the first touch on Jonathan Bennett.
Because the way Cedar Grove sets up, they've got 4 of these behemoths down with all 4 limbs on the ground. And then they've just got linebackers and DBs just kind of popping in and out. You don't have any idea where they're coming from. So fast anyway. Again, led by Isaiah Radcliffe, that County Player of the Year.
And that's him again. He came right off the edge, read it perfectly, and takes down Bennett behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, so you see how fast they're able to fill those holes.
I mean, Radcliffe, only a junior, is termed by the coaching staff of Cedar Grove as the unquestioned leader of this defense. That we remind you features 3 men up front with SEC offers.
Yep, and he's got a Michigan, South Carolina, Tennessee offer.
Yeah, he'll go likely wherever he would like to go. He's got 2 more years to pick up more offers. So here's Hopkins now, and this one may have caught his shin, and then takes a nice, comfortable hop right into the chest of Hazelwood.
Not going to matter, going to come back.
It is. We got another vicious block right around the middle of the field. But 2 flags flew right about the point that Hazelwood started to take that forward progress. The flags are back around the 30-yard line.
I'm going to tell you something. We'll go back and look at this penalty. I thought it was questionable right off the bat, the first one. I think there was another one on the far sidelines a little bit. But I feel like at some point in time, the Cedar Grove coach is just going to get on the bus.
I mean, what are they going to do? They'll call a penalty on it.
But they're coming back again. I mean, the amount of yardage that they have lost in penalties, it's just right here. I think that was the first block in the back a little bit, and I don't know if they gave that one on 24, but then you've got a Cedar Grove player and a Summerville player kind of getting locked up near their headgears. One helmet comes off.
So the flags came in at the 30. That's where the call was made, and
I mean, Hazelwood's touchdown was 30 yards, right? Taken off. This one was, probably a 50, 60-yard punt return.
We have had 2 touchdowns called back. Hazelwood had one of them, and it was Jones the other. Jones, the one who also does have the touchdown.
Yep.
7-0 Cedar Grove leads. It was their second possession of the day, keyed by a 49-yard run from Robert Jones, and then he paid it off from 19. Not Jones again. This time Boney pulls it, and he's not touched. Boney's across the 40. He's to midfield before he's finally touched. He's taken down by Kalen Johnson.
I'll tell you right now, Quentin Eagle, number 54, with a great block to really start that whole play. You watch it right at the very beginning off to your left side of the screen. Seals off the man, and off he goes.
$34 yards for Kendall Boney.
Just pop inside.
Yeah, and again, it's not an easy task to take him down. Took a couple of Green Wave linemen. Scipio eventually gets him down to the turf for second down.
Say somewhere around 7 minutes left here until halftime. But you run into number Keon Watson, that's 320 pounds. You're not going to go very far.
Come on, Aaron. Let's play some defense. There you go, Rick. Ready? No gain, if any. Did he say that? He didn't say that, did he?
Probably somewhere, as Dean pointed out, around midway through the second quarter here. And this is the second carry for Gilstrap today. Gilstrap angles his way down close to the 30 before the secondary eventually tracks him down. One of the linebackers, Damon Campbell, wrapped the waist.
Well, you see the domination up front by that Cedar Grove offense, and allows these speedy running backs to kind of do what they do, and they do it very, very well. And it's just not being elusive. It's about not going down on that first contact.
Michael Martin, who's the director of ops and a longtime coach here for Cedar Grove, he said, look, our philosophy, we're going to spread it out, but we're mostly run. We spread you to run on you. And they've been about 65% rushing plays and these little screens for about the last 3 years. That's Dimitri Cooper's first reception and a pickup of about 9.
You look at some second-team guys coming in right now, getting some run.
And you can see what the Saints team is capable of when they're not moving backwards.
Yeah, they move forwards really fast, by the way. Hazelwood back in.
Well, they running at will now.
Set up on the left side. Trips to the left single up top of your screen.
It'll be Boney, but instead they fling one out to the back. And he is met immediately, and he's still going. Once again, green wave, struggling to bring someone down. This is Corian Cohn's first touch of the day, and another first down for the Saints.
Jaden James was on it, and he had a handful of jersey. 2 hands, and almost his own player, Keon Gregory, kind of loosened the grip a little bit and put Cedar Grove back in position to score here inside the 10.
Back into the judgment-free red zone.
Does that mean if I eat a piece of pizza right now, you're not going to judge?
I'm not allowed. It's judgment-free. They'll spot this ball at the 9, so it's first and goal for Boney, Gilstrap, and company. The senior Boney makes himself small, still pushing that pile, and he is with no signal yet. From our angle, it looks pretty clear. There it is. It's a touchdown for Boney from 9 yards out.
Again, look at the work of the offensive line. Just a really nice job sealing their blocks. But again, you go across that offensive line, it's 270, 328, 290, 320, 250. Easy to seal when you're that big.
And then once the seal is locked, then you still have to bring down a guy like Gilstrap or a guy like Pop Jones, who's listed at 190. Boney right there, just about 190. Drive that started back on their 15 following yet another penalty is paid off with a 9-yard touchdown run. And Kendall Boney has the Saints of Cedar Grove up a couple of touchdowns down here in the Low Country. Is it a historic McKissick Field? Is that fair to say right now?
It's a landmark.
As we get a look at our Zaxby's fans cam. Cedar Grove with a 2-touchdown lead and a punishing 7 men of special teams.
Andre Banks fumbling around with the kickoff a little bit, allowing those 6 Saints to act not so saintly.
Say that 10 times fast.
I struggled one time.
Green Wave will start at their own 9. By my count, I have 1 first down for the Green Wave. This will be their 4th possession.
And that was on a running play.
It was a tough run. Bennett earned it and then took a shot.
So struggling to find any kind of rhythm up against this very, very good Cedar Grove defense.
All right, we need 7.5.
And there hasn't been much of an opportunity for Bennett to change that. There's been pressure immediately. There it is again. That's Dante Walker, who transferred in from Riverdale, holding offers from Tennessee, South Carolina, Alabama, and Georgia, who makes that play. As we check in with someone who had the same amount of offers, but for his journalism skills, it's Scott Eisberg.
Yeah, many journalism offers, Darren. You know, I took the one that gave me the most money. 0. But I'll tell you what. We are here with Low Country Orthopedic Sports Medicine, Dr. David Jasquich. You know, last week I was ice skating with my daughter. I fell. The old wing ain't what it used to be. That's probably not an injury that you see very often. Most adult injuries would be...
Well, we tend to see folks that are getting more and more active, you know, in their 40s and 50s. And so we are seeing injuries like that, a shoulder, a rotator cuff, or something like that. Also, we're seeing folks that come in with a knee injury, like a meniscus or a ligament injury. So those are pretty common injuries.
Biggest question I think most people would have, hot or cold? When do you use heat? When do you use ice on the shoulder or the knee or the ankle?
Or anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So after an injury, you want to put ice on it right away, okay? The ice gets in and starts reducing the swelling. So I like to think of the term RICE: rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Those are the important things after an injury that help reduce the swelling and make you feel better.
When would the heat come into play?
Well, I want you to think of heat before and ice after. Okay, so think about if you're warming up, getting ready, you want to put heat on something. Afterwards, if you got a sore shoulder or a knee, you want to put ice on it. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense to me. Next time I fall ice skating with my daughter, you will be getting a call after I put ice on it. How about that?
That's right.
Sounds good. Dr. David Jasquich with the Low Country Orthopedic and Sports Medicine. Guys, I guess I'll send it back up to you.
I appreciate it, Scotty. Your interviews are much smoother than Summerville is finding it offensively right now.
Keep an eye, too, on, look at the left end, number 18. That's Torn Seals. He's 6'5", 260.
He's number 2 on the depth chart at that. Low throw, that one is brought in for just about 4 yards. Perry Wilder's first reception of the day, and once again, Isaiah Ratcliffe finds himself around the football.
I think he had a choice to be number 1 because I think it's perfect for him.
Doesn't 1 normally go to the small, quick guy?
Not here. Not at Cedar Grove.
No, not here.
But again, it happened on their last drive, and then this last play, just a quick release, get somebody in the open field, pick up 3 or 4 yards. But it's got to be quick. Hazelwood set up now at the 45-yard line.
And Hopkins gets his best punt of the day off. This one takes a 90-degree hop and goes out of bounds at the Green Wave 49-yard line. Accomplishes 2 things there. He gives them a little bit of a breather on the defensive side of things, and he kicked it away from Jaden Hazelwood.
It's amazing. Hazelwood hasn't had a huge impact on this game at all. But as we talked about leading into this game, this will be one of the best defenses that Summerville will face all year long. And now you see why.
Yeah, and to that point, I was talking with Hunter Spivey, the offensive coordinator here at Summerville, just prior to the game. He said, man, we got a test here. We won't see anyone just like this. Something new to Friday Night Rivals. This season, we're launching the Synovus PB&J Blitz. It benefits Low Country Food Bank, the local Friday Night Rivals high school that donates the most jars of peanut butter and jelly wins. My daughter is at home saying that she's just going to eat it all. Synovus is going to give $100 to the winning school each week, $2,500 to the overall champion at the end of the season, and $1,250 going to the school in the other half of the Low Country Food Bank. Summerville High School will compete against Porter Gowd later in the year because Cedar Grove is not part of the, obviously, South Carolina High School League. So here's Austin Smith over the middle. That one's hauled in. And it is Jordan who wiggles his way for 3 extra yards, a 13-yard pickup.
Spread him out, he does, and then he's able to find his open receiver, Austin Smith. You see Smith right there throwing to the under receiver. Going to pick up another 4 or 5 yards after the catch. If my calculation is correct, I think we had about 3 minutes left in this half.
I'm going to hold you to that. Little bit of a play fake, and once again, wide open over the middle is Jordan.
Yep.
Lost
right
his
back,
helmet, so he'll miss the next play.
Right back to it, just the opposite side.
Cole Phillips stopped him after a pickup of 6. Now, Cedar Grove, this drive and the last drive have cut back on the penalties, and it has made a world of difference. And they're picking up chunks of yards and making it look easy. Smith
Got to make
gets
the
one
play
on the
right
edge,
there.
and Hazelwood is taken down. Kayvon Gregory met him as he caught the ball. It's going to be close to a first down.
Gregory does a nice job of shedding off his blocker to get right in front of Hazelwood and limiting that to about a 3-yard, 4-yard possession.
Yeah, he kept it shy of the first down, so it'll be 3rd down and 1. Here's Dubinion, the freshman. He'll pick that up. They give it to the little guy to get the hard yards right through the middle.
Oh, my goodness. So Montfort and Gregory were getting into it a little bit after the play. Montfort, 9, is the last guy that gets the two-handed shove off. Right, so he's the guy that when the teacher looks up and that's who they see.
Right here at the top of your screen.
Mm-hmm. And then the flag goes down, so instead of having a first down, let's see if they call it on both sides. I don't think they will.
Dead ball, personal foul. So if it is the dead ball, and that came after the run, so it should still be
first down.
The first down, it'll just back them up 15 yards. And that is what is being discussed right now. You'll better look at it here.
Coming on the right side of your screen. See what I say? It's when the teacher looks up. She misses the first eraser being thrown, but sees the second eraser being thrown.
I'll get hit by an eraser before I get hit by one of these guys.
Gregory went upstairs to get his point across as well.
He's calling him to reset the chains. No, to reset the chains back up where the ball.
So now they got to move the chains to be equal with the line of scrimmage, and they've got that squared away.
Right, so still 1st and 10, not 1st and 25. And now they're going to get together, the black hat and the white hat, with Cedar Grove coach in between them.
You follow what I'm saying? Yeah, oh no, you're right. So you put the first down marker up.
There's been a lot of frustration, again, on this Cedar Grove sideline. The flags have been numerous. The time in which it has taken to make the calls at times has been lengthy.
Right.
And then you just...
Not a lot of consistency.
No, it's choppy. But Austin Smith is starting to get consistent run here.
Yep.
And he's going to keep it. A lot of space here for Austin Smith, who's chopped down by Kevon Gregory after the first down run for the sophomore.
And again, Gregory comes off of, I could say, shed the block, but not blocked at all on the outside.
You think it's inside a minute? I think I have inside of a minute, yes.
Smith gets any help downfield at all, he picks up another 5 or 10 yards.
Kendall Boney led the touchdown drive, the last possession for Cedar Grove. Back to Austin Smith. They continue to alternate behind center.
But Smith certainly getting the majority of the reps.
Definitely feels that way. He's going to take a shot here for Hazelwood. And Johnson was right there with him. Check it, Gregory.
Hey, Gregory has been on Hazelwood the entire game. Throws a nice ball in the back corner of the end zone. Hazelwood still, he's coming off.
He'd like his numbers to show some of the work that he's done, but his big plays have all come back. Touchdown in the receiving game, a long punt return. Here's 2nd down and 10 now, and it goes back to Gilstrap on the ground.
Gosh.
They just rotate him through. Gilstrap for close to 10 yards.
And we've seen 3 just excellent backs. You got Jones and Gilstrap and then the freshman. And by the way, when Austin Smith wants to take off, he's not bad either. So again, this is going to be one of these conversations where it'll be the first thing we do on practice Monday morning is we're going to work on wrapping up.
Cedar Grove takes the timeout here as we dive in to crunch the numbers, brought to you by Anderson Brothers Bank. This is last season. Summerville puts up about 320 yards of offense per game, and this is an offense that they love. It's a veteran offensive line, but as Hunter Spivey put it, their offensive coordinator, this is a tough one. We got a tough one on our hands today, and they won't see a better defense all year. 3
seniors, 2 juniors up front, led by Dylan Powell, who's going to Western Kentucky. But you're right. This is a different beast when you take a look at these 4 guys, and you look at the depth chart and the idea of having 4 SEC commits up front. It's gonna be tough to get the truck moving, the diesel.
And Summerville has found that to be true today. Again, unofficially, I've got him for just a single first down. Meanwhile, defensively,
but downs is 2 scores.
That's true. If they can keep Cedar Grove out here. Joe Call, speaking with him yesterday, Summerville's head coach, the grandson of the namesake of this field, John McKissick Field, he said, look, the best thing we can go off of, and it's same for Cedar Grove, we can check tape from last year. We can look at some of the 7-on-7 stuff.
Yep.
But a guy impresses you, you look down, you say, well, that guy's not here, and that guy's not here. And then you find the new number that you're looking at on film and say, it's the same type of player.
He looks like the same guy.
Exactly. So they didn't know exactly what to expect, Summerville, from a defensive standpoint. But they had a sense that there are athletes in the 5'9", 5'11" range that can fly, and they're all over the field. Then you got the big Hazelwood on the outside.
Right.
Smith wants to go here. He's ready before the officiating crew is. And pressure comes right at him. His knee doesn't go down, but the play is stopped. That's Cole Phillips, who got untouched to the quarterback.
Really nice defensive alignment. Nice call to put pressure on the quarterback, Smith, which they have not done for much of the game. A little delayed blitz. Phillips misses him, but his guys come right behind him. That was going to be the last play of the first half.
How about that? Final play of the first half. It just takes all the suspense out when you don't have 2 seconds showing on the clock and you have absolutely no idea. So Cedar Grove has 14 points on the board here.
And Cedar Grove's head coach is about the 25-yard line, left side of their screen, and he's got an audience of all 4 referees. And this goes back, I think, probably to the first 5 seconds of the game.
Yeah, and arriving here and being told, hey, you just drove 5 hours. Here's our clock. It reads 00.
Yeah.
And it's been a frustrating day. But Cedar Grove trying to better last season's mark where they lost in the state semifinals, trying to duplicate their success of 2016 when they won the state championship.
And you know the great part about this is? He gets our Scott Eisberg in about 20 seconds. So we'll see. I'm sure that he will see what kind of disposition he has right here.
Jermaine Smith has won 80% of his games in his now 7 years at the helm. And he is with our Scott Eisberg.
Jermaine Smith from Cedar Grove. Obviously, you've got a lead, but seem to have some frustrations there on the sideline. Was it just first game jitters? Was it the clock not working? What was it for you guys?
I think a little bit of both, but not knowing what the clock, we can't play those situations. At the end of the half, we didn't know how much time on the clock until they said 5 seconds. They told me at 4 minutes, they told me at 5 seconds. That's kind of difficult for us to play ball like that.
When you go into the locker room, what do you tell them about that situation? How do you handle that in the second
I
half?
don't tell them nothing. They just got to play football. That's my job.
Good luck to you in the second half. That's Jermaine Smith from Cedar Grove. Guys, I'll send it back to you. He doesn't seem too happy here as he heads into the locker room.
All right, Scott, appreciate it. If I heard him correctly, he said he was told he had 4 minutes, but then really had 5 seconds to play.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yes,
what he said.
that is
that's
correct.
Not an easy situation.
All right, Scott, we appreciate it down there. Appreciate Coach Smith as well. His group, despite the obstacles in front of them, lead at 14-0 at the break. Halftime coming your way next. Welcome to the Zaxby's Halftime Show. Let Zaxby's cater your next tailgate with your favorites like the Chicken Fingers Platter or the Salad Bar. Visit Zaxby's.com for a full menu and to find a location near you. Plus, each week, Zaxby's give you a chance to win some free food. Who doesn't like free food? Just text chicken to 44332 for your chance to win $100 worth of delicious Zaxby's. All right, each week around this time, David Ayler Law Office is proud to highlight a scholar athlete, typically from each participating school. But with just one school from Charleston, it is just one athlete. The student selected has the opportunity to win a $5,000 scholarship at the end of the year. Tonight's scholar athlete from Summerville.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. I'm here with Margaret Saiba of the David Ayler Law Offices. Margaret, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So we're talking about Scholar Athlete today, so give me some background on that.
So once a week, we honor 2 students who excel both on the field and in the classroom. And at the end of the season, we choose one of those 20 students, and we provide them with a $5,000 scholarship, which they can use towards their future college.
$5,000, that's awesome. And this is year number 2 of this, right? Mm-hmm. So why go for a second year in a row?
It was so great to see the money go towards such a great cause. After last year, we had our winner, Leo Albano, use that money to towards his scholarship at Notre Dame. Okay. And he starts this fall, so we're wishing him the best of luck. And we just love to give back to the community whenever we have the chance.
Okay, great. Leo from Bishop England High School, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a huge takeaway from that first year that you had last year. What are some other big kind of takeaways from that year?
It's just great to see the benefits of high school sports. It teaches students about leadership and time management and all lessons that you can use throughout life. So it's very important.
It is. That is awesome. Margaret Stipa of the David Ayler Law Offices. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, we'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, so let's get to know the Summerville student athlete who has that chance to win a $5,000 scholarship at the end of the year. It's Jonathan Bennett. What doesn't Bennett do? 3.8 GPA. He's already got a Division I commitment to the Liberty Flames. Pretty tough to balance the 3.8 side of the academics with what we've been told. Bennett, some of the teammates have keys to this field. They've asked Joe Call for him to come with the extra workouts. They're able to put it all together.
I'll tell you one thing Jonathan Bennett doesn't do. He's not an electrician.
I don't know that.
The scoreboard would have been fixed.
Good point. That is a good point. We have more of our Zaxby's halftime show. And how about this? Playing the trombone.
So this is, his name is Jackie Johnson, Jahkee. His legs were amputated at a younger age after a rare disease. And he uses prosthetics in the marching band. How about that?
That's awesome. Good for him. More of our Zaxby's halftime show around this timeout. Zaxby's halftime show continues, so let Zaxby's cater that next tailgate with your favorites like the chicken fingers platter or the salad bar. Visit Zaxby's.com for a full menu and to find a location near you. Let's check in with Scott Eisberg, and you're not going to interview that chicken right there, are you?
No, I'm not interviewing the chicken, although he would be delicious if we cooked them up. We're going to bring in Matt later here at Zaxby's. How are you this afternoon?
Great, thank you very much.
Great. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about the fifth quarter celebration for Friday Night Rivals over at Zaxby's?
We're really excited about it. This is our third year as a sponsor, and we decided we're going to do a fundraiser after each of the games, most of the games anyway, not all the games in the market, but we're having a fifth quarter party, and we're going to raise money for Coastal Crisis Chaplaincy. And we're really excited about that opportunity. We're going to have some door prizes and giveaways, and we're going to have a wheel of flavor that we're going to raffle and be able to spin and win Zaxby's for a year. So it's going to be a fun party after the game. It's going to be both at the night school at Zaxby's and the Summerville and Azalea Square. So.
You have somebody with you. Why don't you introduce?
I do. Let me introduce Luciano Soto with Coastal Crisis Chaplaincy. He's going to tell us a little bit about the ministries, and and what we're supporting tonight.
Well, I want to say thank you, first of all, to Tripp and Saxby for sponsoring us today. And well, we've been around for over 25 years, and we've been serving our community, our first responders, our people in crisis. We get called out. We have over 41 chaplains that are volunteers, and we're constantly on call. We're serving our community. Last year alone, we served over 30,000 people in Charleston alone. So we're excited, we're happy to be here, and thank you so much. Thank you for supporting us.
It's a great ministry. We're excited to have the opportunity and to be a sponsor of Friday Night Rivals.
Luciano, Tripp, chicken, sure, let's get a handshake, chicken. That's Zaxby's every. Back up to you guys.
He's got a name. His name is Zach. It says it right across his chest down there, not just chicken.
Oh. Yeah, you got to read between the lines. I usually read Cliff Notes.
I see. Me too.
Just off the prompter, kid. Just off the prompter.
All right, Scott. Nice job down there. Tonight's trophy is provided by RKO Total Graphics. That is in downtown Charleston. You see on that plaque, Cedar Grove, Georgia at Summerville. The winner takes this trophy home with them. If it's Summerville, just hang out right here. If it's Cedar Grove, it'll take the 5-hour trek back to just outside of Atlanta. So we appreciate RKO Total Graphics in downtown Charleston for helping out. Welcome back into our Zaxby's halftime show. It's Zaxby's that wants to cater your next tailgate with favorites like the chicken fingers platter and the salad bar. Check Zaxby's.com for a full menu and to find a location near you. Every week on Friday Night Rivals here in the Charleston area, we give you an opportunity to be interactive with the program. That chance is now. 2 cheer squads going at it. Text cheer A if you like Summerville's, cheer B if you would like to vote for Cedar Grove.
Celebration, we say wave, you say nation, wave, nation, wave, nation. Join the sensation, we're wave, nation, wave, nation. You say wave, nation, wave, nation. 1, 2. Let's go, Summerville! Go, say! We came to win this
instructions are simple. Cheer A to vote for Summerville. Cheer B to vote for Cedar Grove. Text it to 44332. Check out some scores from around the Low Country. These were games yesterday. Fort Dorchester had a similar opportunity as Summerville has, taking on a team down in Georgia, and Fort Dorchester apparently is still Fort Dorchester. They win that one.
Watched a good portion of that game. The interesting part about it is they still got the speed. Saab at quarterback. Are you going to lose a little bit? Absolutely you're going to lose it. But this is a kid who played a lot last year, and he was really, really solid. I still think they're the cream of the crop.
It's probably Fort Dorchester and Summerville in this region, Region 8-5A. Also, tip of the cap, Denny McClain. First game at Stratford, he beat Timberland, where his Knights do 21-6. And a good win for West Ashley over Cane Bay as well. So those are scores from last night around the Low Country.
Head coach Joe Call, under 100 yards of offense in the first half, wondering what he's got to do to be able to establish things. Scotty?
Hey guys, here with Joe Call here on the sideline. It didn't look great in parts in the first half, but it's only 14-0. I guess that's the message you got to give the team.
Yeah, it was a real sloppy first half. A lot of penalties. The game was stopping a lot. There was really no rhythm to the game. And on offense, we're not making any first downs. We got to get a rhythm going on offense. Defense, we're right there to make the play. We just got to get the guy down and make the tackle.
How hard is that rhythm to get when you see these huge guys with a lot of speed running right at you? Jonathan doesn't have a whole lot of time there.
Yeah, we got to do a better job up front of protecting him and opening some holes. But, we got some things there. We're just kind of missing on some blocks. So we're right there. We just need to make a play.
Their coach said the whole scoreboard situation really is affecting them. Is it affecting you guys, and how do you kind of get around that?
Yeah, it is. That's kind of a we try to do our scrimmages without a clock on there, kind of let the referees just kind of prepare for it. But when you can't see a clock, I know it was tough for them right there at the end of the second half. They didn't know how much time was on the clock and how many plays they were going to have. So it is difficult, and it's a shame for something like that to happen. But unfortunate things happen. You turn it on, you check it out, and then you come game time. Something that was kind of out of our control. So it's when both teams have to deal with it, you just got to deal with it the best you can.
Joe, best of luck. Summerville down 14-0. They will try to make a comeback here in the second half. Dean and Darren?
Sounds like a much more calm and in control coach on the Summerville sideline, understanding, look, clock issue is what it is. Both sides have to deal with it, in his words. Summerville will get the ball first to begin the second half. That is good news. Try and get some first downs. Maybe some points on the board. Second half is coming your way next. Friday Night Rivals presented by Cruise Chevrolet. Cruise Chevy on Rivers, you've got a friend in the car business. 14-0, the Saints lead. And Summerville will get the ball first. Darren Goldwater, Dean Stevens, Scott Eisberg is the third member of our crew. And just to set the stage for you again, the clock is not working here at Summerville. You heard Joe Call say everything was tested, it worked, and who knows?
Until it didn't.
Yeah, until it didn't. Who knows what happened, but I saw a lot of people working tirelessly to fix it. It just wasn't fixable, apparently. So we're working without a clock on the field that's visible to us and to the teams. And we're dealing with a couple of schools that believe they have state championship potential. Cedar Grove, the 3A level in Georgia. Summerville at the 5A level here in South Carolina. Cedar Grove, until a loss in the semifinals last year, had a 23-game winning streak. They won a state championship in 2016, then rattled off 13 consecutive wins last year before having their season come to a close. Summerville, meanwhile, their best year by far under Joe Call last year. 9 wins last year, trying to build on that now in year 4 already of this Joe Call era.
So the Cedar Grove team, there are a lot of academy schools in the Georgia area where they can go out and pretty much openly recruit and bring in players. Not the case at Cedar Grove. Question.
I don't believe so. I don't believe it is the case
where you
can openly go out and do it.
Openly.
Correct. I mean, there are ways,
sure,
to get around it if a family happens to move.
Correct.
All right. Let's crunch some numbers now. Talking about what we were just mentioning here for the Saints, brought to you by Anderson Brothers Bank. 26-3 in the last 2 years. 23 wins is a DeKalb County record. That's a county with 21 teams in it, many of whom are very good at football. It is a talent-rich area.
Rashad Cheney walking off the field. Can't tell if it's back to the equipment issue or not.
Summerville picked up 1 first down, fewer than 100 yards in that first half. And that opening play of the second half is a good indication why. There was pressure immediately on Bennett, and that one comes incomplete.
Cheney on his sideline, about the 50-yard mark. Looks like they're taping up his left calf around the left knee area. Again, I'm wondering if it's, your knees can't be exposed, so you go ahead and tape them up.
They did have that issue early on in the game. Pocket holds right there for Bennett, but Banks isn't going anywhere. He was hit as the ball got to him, and that's T. Denson, 6'1 senior, registering his first tackle.
Again, try to spread them out a little bit, but they just close. The close factor is so fast.
Let's check in with Eisberg.
Hey, what's up, guys? Perfect name for a perfect bank. Linda Moneymaker from Anderson Brothers Bank joins us right now. What makes you guys different from other banks?
Well, with us, when you walk in, it's almost like an episode of Cheers. Everybody's friendly. Everybody knows your name. We really capitalize on that. We are able to do loans and make loan decisions locally. Our CEO, David Anderson, has kind of coined the phrase that we will make loans that other banks won't at rates that other finance companies can't touch. So it really gives us an edge.
Interesting history behind Anderson Brothers Bank.
It is. We actually started during the Great Depression. The tobacco farmers in Mullins needed a way to be able to finance their crops. And so the banks there had closed. They actually approached 2 brothers, Bishop and Ernest Anderson, about doing the financing for them, and they did it. And really after that, it became obvious that they needed a bank in Mullins, and so Anderson Brothers Bank stepped up to the plate, opened up a branch, and now we have 23 other locations as well.
Linda, thanks so much for joining us. That's Linda Moneymaker, Anderson Brothers Bank, ka-ching. Send it back to you guys.
Linda Moneymaker down there. We got a Goldwater up here.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Again, this is the short pass. The one thing we've noticed here quickly, after that first down, they want to try to play fast.
Bennett picking up their second first down of the game on the long run as Scotty was talking to Miss Moneymaker. Blitz on the inside.
And that one is nearly laid in there well, but it's defended even better by T.J. Taylor to bring up third down.
Well, not only Bennett have to deal with T.J. Taylor and also the receiver had to deal with him, but you're looking right back into the sun. I mean, Brody Hopkins was, as soon as he turned, he saw nothing but, Mr. Sun, Mr. Golden Sun.
And the sun.
Please shine down on me.
Oh, now we can turn this into a musical interlude.
No, it's got to be 4 touchdown.
Okay, 3rd down and 8. Here comes pressure right up the middle. Bennett doesn't like what he sees and then just flings it out of there. William Jenkins was the one who came straight through the middle.
Well, again, they bring pressure in the middle through the gaps on a draw play and really had no chance to do anything with that ball other than throw it away. No flag, surprisingly, for intentional grounding, but he had nowhere to go. Nowhere to go with it.
Kind of like a basketball player when you're caught in the air after you leave your feet. And
yeah.
It's rare that a quarterback actually won't throw that ball.
Yeah. But again, they brought everybody up the middle.
So their second first down of the game is produced on this drive, but it ends in yet another Hopkins punt. This one trickles down inside the 25 where Hazelwood decides to land on it. I think Hazelwood thought his teammate, Blackmore, touched it.
Now, the thing that I noticed once they got off the bus, once they got into their cleats, once they got onto the field and started going through their pregame routine, it looked like their shoes were all a glitter. Did you notice? So I started taking even a closer look. The bottom of their cleats, it's the shiniest silver I've ever seen.
You know, it's interesting because I noticed that in the high school jamboree, Sertoma down here.
Same thing?
Yes. So I'm not sure what brand it is.
It's Adidas, these particular brands.
But yeah, it's blinding.
I don't know if it's blinding, Darren. I think it's kind of
like a disco ball on the bottom of your feet.
Yes, that is true. Oh, by the way, Summerville upon first contact with a big tackle.
Yes, and who was it leading the way? Scipio there. And Kendall Boney is the quarterback of record for this drive as we check back in with Scott.
Guys, oftentimes we'll frown on people being late for interviews. Not today. Kenny Farrell, the principal at Summerville, has an absolute excuse because your son is going viral now. He just got a scholarship from Will Muschamp at South Carolina, and you got to be there in Columbia to experience it. How cool was that?
It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable when your children set goals and they work extremely hard to get there. And we've been blessed. You know, he's a hard worker. Coach Muschamp and his staff has done an outstanding job, and we're just blessed that he worked and achieved that goal.
How did it all kind of work out? If you could take us through the story from when Coach Muschamp let you know until today, if you could just walk us through it.
Well, I was busy with the convocation, and so I missed a phone call, didn't recognize the number. So my wife calls one of my assistants and said, hey, I need to speak to Kenny immediately. So I got on the telephone. I thought something was wrong. She said, Kenny, Coach Muschamp just called and said that we needed to come up to the scrimmage because Chandler's going to be put on scholarship Saturday. So we've been sitting on this since Wednesday, so we've been a nervous wreck.
How did he do it?
He called the team together today, and he talked about hard work and commitment and called Chandler up there and said, hey, you're on scholarship, and the place went crazy.
And I guess the biggest winner is you and your wallet, right?
Well, I do have a daughter I'm taking on Friday to go up to USC, so USC's still going to get my money.
Kenny, congratulations. That's awesome. We're so happy to hear that about Chandler Farrell, a former Summerville Green Wave who is now on scholarship with the Gamecocks.
Scott, that's an awesome story.
You may want to tell Mr. Farrell to check with Anderson Brother Banks for some banking needs.
And that lady, the lovely Moneymaker.
Yes.
She's got all the answers.
Introduce him to Mrs. Moneymaker down there.
Could figure out this scholarship and this tuition thing. Meanwhile, that's the best series defensively Summerville has played all game long. A 3-and-out, and Summerville is good field position when we bring you back to McKissick Field. That's our Zaxby's fans cam. The Saints traveled here well, 5 hours from just outside of Atlanta, and their team is up 14-0. Green Wave looking for their first sign of momentum. Defense put a 3-and-out against that Saints offense, and now they'll begin this second possession of the third quarter for the Green Wave at their 46.
Trying to get the outside on this time.
It's the best run they've had to the edge, and that once again was that sophomore speedster KJ Rollins. He picks up about 2.5.
Go back to the fans cam for a minute as well. Just take a look at this. Big fans of the McKissicks. Saw Miss McKissick here earlier today. Said her husband John was not able to come to the game. He would be watching, so miss seeing him out here today on the field named in his honor. Certainly should be after a long, distinguished coaching career.
Winningest coach at any level. Bennett pulls this one, spins off Chris Sanford, who won't let go. It'll bring up 3rd down and 6.
I was looking at some notes on him earlier. He's 92 years old.
Is that right?
Started coaching in 1952.
I mean, his grandson is the current head coach.
I know.
He changed the game of high school football down here in the Low Country.
First down right here, be big. Reset the play clock.
10 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, that's one clock we do have, although that play clock was just
reset.
reset. We don't have the actual time, but we do have the play clock.
I was working on that, and I fell asleep for the last 10 minutes. Bear with me. Across
Bennett,
the middle.
Yeah, hung in there, actually had a man, but did feel some pressure behind him, looking for Banks with Ratcliffe right there.
Bennett slow in getting up, not because if he's injured or just disappointed. That was a very manageable 4th and about 6. But again, you've got a situation where you've been harassed for the better part of almost 2 hours now. And you're going to try to get rid of that ball quickly, which he did there.
Actually looked like Ratcliffe had a better shot at it than Banks. This could finally be one that Hazelwood could return, although you wouldn't advise him pulling it in at the 6, and it goes down right there.
The thing I've noticed about Hazelwood, not lacking in the confidence department, that time maybe should have let it go. But again, they've been kicking away from him for the entire game. So this is a guy who's chomping at the bit maybe to get a return in. But they'll start at about the 6-yard line. I think Hopkins may be their MVP right now.
He's punted a lot more than he hoped to.
Well, he had the bad snap in the end zone and kind of maneuvered out, kicked it out to about the 50-yard line. That was early on in the game.
Yep. And he pins Cedar Grove back here at their 6 as Austin Smith back in. Every drive they have alternated between Austin Smith, the sophomore, and the senior Boney. And that is Robert Pop Jones, who had about 90 yards in that first half, also had a touchdown. And the Green Wave had worlds of trouble bringing down Pop Jones.
I think we've seen a big difference. I've seen a big difference in these first 2 possessions that the defense has come out of the locker room, just with their energy and attacking the football and then wrapping up the football once they get to it.
You hear coaches talk about finishing the play. You know, don't just hit the guy. Put him down.
Yep.
Take him down. We got a flag in here. Smith tiptoes his way through, and then he's toppled there by Derek Larry. But this one's probably coming back with a flag down at the 2.
Yeah, they're going to call a hold on one of the interior linemen. See if we can pick it up here from the end zone. Maybe right there, 70. Christopher Carter, 6'5", 240. When you're 6'5", 240, it's hard to hide a hold.
This Chris Carter, he doesn't just catch touchdown passes.
Mm-mm.
Let's check in with Scott Eisberg.
Hey guys, here with Dr. Shelton Bernard, principal of Cedar Grove High School. It's one principal I haven't gotten in trouble with because you're from out of the area, but what have you thought about the trip? What have you thought about Summerville? And how important is it for your kids to see someplace new and play on a stage?
Well, we're so glad to be invited down. You all have done an excellent job.
You got two great teams going head to head. We love it here. We would love to come back.
For you guys, you have another big game next week down in Alabama. How exciting for these kids to really see areas of the country they wouldn't normally see?
Well, you know, it's always a good opportunity to students to do work inside and outside the classroom. So we just take this as another field trip to give our students experience. So when they leave for college, they'll be college and career ready.
I think the crowd was pretty impressed by Jakeed Johnson and your marching band. I know our TV crew featured him. I guess you guys have seen it for a while, but that's pretty inspiring stuff.
We are very proud of him. He has been featured on USA Today, and he does an amazing job. I was even his assistant principal in middle school, so I have seen him grow up to be a fine young man.
Doctor, thanks so much. Enjoy the Flourtown area and have a safe trip back to Atlanta.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
Right when he said it, I thought it. You wrote it.
I'm glad that he would like to come back.
But his coach not coming with him.
Well, he didn't seem pleased at the half, but he still does have a 14-0 lead.
Another penalty's going to back him up, but I was thinking the same thing. It was like the coach is like, no.
That's part of our David Ayler Law Office's Educator Spotlight.
Can we try Nashville maybe next year?
Well, it's going down to Alabama. We got a tough one coming up next week. A couple of penalties on this drive. Smith with the low snap, only able to get back to the line of scrimmage. And it'll be third down here for the Saints.
That penalty wiped out a really nice run by Rashad Dubinion. That kid is really, really quick, shifty. 5'9", 162. Did you say a true freshman?
He is, and the only true freshman that's even listed on the depth chart, although he's listed as a defensive back. And when we spoke about him 2 days ago, at no point in time was it mentioned he could play on the offensive side, but it was clearly stated, we think this could be the next guy.
He's in the backfield now.
Problem is their defense isn't.
Smith's going to load up. He wants Jaden Hazelwood, and he's blanketed once again. I tell you what, Dean, Kevon Gregory has probably earned himself the defensive player of the game here for the Green Wave.
Yeah, absolutely. Hazelwood looking like he's trying to stretch out a calf. Calling for the trainer to come over. Well-placed ball, but just Gregory in a better spot. Oh, you listen, here, what is Gregory?
Gregory's a 6-foot senior.
Right, and you're looking at a guy that's about 6'3", 6'4", you know, probably has 40 pounds on you. A guy that's been all over recruiting websites. What a great challenge.
They go with the draw here on 3rd and long. Cole Phillips isn't having any of that talented freshman Dubinion. Second consecutive drive that doesn't net a whole lot of yards for Cedar Grove and the punt team back out there.
You know what I'm saying? You talk about a kid like Gregory, been around this program, an opportunity to step in and go against one of the country's very best. And I think he showed very, very well.
We're probably nearing the late stages of the third quarter here. We're doing our best just to have an estimate of that. There haven't been as many penalties this quarter. There haven't been as many incompletions and stoppages that we saw back in the first half. And back to what you said, Dean, it gives the guys an opportunity when teams play up a level, and that's not necessarily the case here. You want to compete against the best, and certainly Hazelwood is one of them. That punt is not. That's down at the 36.
The punt coverage team actually outran the punt by about 15 yards.
Not ideal.
That's okay.
But it puts Summerville again in a position to strike. This will be their second consecutive possession that starts in good field position. Their last one was right about their own 46.
Well, it was their, I think, wasn't it their, was that their first possession of the game, where they were at the 21. That was the punt out of the end zone.
That's true. And they backed up 15 yards on the first play and ended up turning it over on downs. So they've had their opportunities. But
this would qualify as one of them.
Yeah. To this point, the Green Wave with just 2 first downs. They had just 43 total yards in the first half. So here's Bennett. They fake the reverse and fumble it. And it's eventually scooped up by Cedar Grove. Took a shot at it, and it backfires for him, and Blackmore comes away with the turnover.
Same thing happened in the first quarter, first possession. They got the ball at the 21. They tried to do a little Banks with handed it off to him, and he was going to throw the ball, and he lost about 15 yards. Same thing here, but you lose possession of the ball.
That was an offensive play.
I'll correct myself. I thought that was 14. It was, in fact, 34. The senior William Jenkins, who holds an offer from Navy, among other places, picked up that fumble.
William Jenkins was looking about 55 yards ahead of him as he was trying to pick up that ball.
Took him a little while.
But a wasted opportunity there for Summerville. Good field possession as Boney's back in the game.
Sure is. A little bit of miscommunication back there, and he is down hard. That's Xavier Davis, the junior up front for the Green Wave after a gain of maybe a yard.
Davis does a nice job of slashing the gap. You see him come inside, peeled off his block, made Boney pay. Hazelwood still not back in the game. The last offensive play came out with like he was cramping a bit.
The minute hands that don't work on the scoreboard. They don't need to be screwing with anything else but that.
Shot Jones down on the near side. Didn't look like he got that play, but it didn't matter. It went away from him, and immediately in to make the hit is Jaden Jones, James.
Tale of two defenses. One in the first half, one in the second half, and the one in the second half looking nothing like the one in the first half.
It's like a different team, this Summerville defense. They're rallying to the ball. There's no yards after contact right now for the Saints.
Well, that needs to go away.
And a very different third quarter than the first half. Was choppy, penalties, confusion, anger on the visiting sideline.
Don't work.
Not the case here, just
attacking the ball.
That's it.
I'll be damned if I'd let Carl.
And with an opportunity here to force another 3 and out, Hazelwood back in top of your screen.
Third down and 13. That's the target. Hazelwood's got it, but he's short. It's Gregory again who gets a shoulder into him, and the Saints have a decision to make.
I don't think there would be much of a decision to make, do you?
You know, they haven't punted it exceptionally well today.
Nope. Again, Gregory, a little bit of space between he and Hazelwood, but again, comes up with a nice ankle tackle, make it about a 4th and 1.
I believe it's the first 4th down Cedar Grove has faced today.
Cole Messina coming in as a third linebacker.
No false starts, though. They ain't had none of them yet.
Summerville comes with its base 4, and it's Jones
Stops
who's
him
short.
How about that? Who's on the bottom of that pile? Number 56, Colby Taylor. Said that name a lot.
We have. And you know, he's not physically, I guess, imposing just to the eye, but he is in on most stops.
Right.
I'll tell you, the Citadel loves him, and if the military school that plays that tough-nosed defense style of offense, if they like him, then there's a toughness there.
From the 45-yard line.
Now, we've got him pretty clearly short. The chain gang will tell us that we're right, and Summerville turns over the Saints on down.
Yeah. Heck of a play by Taylor. Heck of a showing here in the first 10 minutes or so of the third quarter by a defense that really could have given up 300 or 400 yards of offense if the flags didn't come flying out of the back pockets of the referees and umpire there in the first half.
Yeah, consider this. This courtesy of David Shelton. You can read about this game in the Charleston Post and Courier tomorrow. They had 11 plays of at least 10 yards to Cedar Grove in the first half alone.
Oh, no.
That one is picked off. Wilder had it look like it went off his helmet, and then eventually it is Jenkins that comes away with the pick.
Oh, my goodness. And a great call. Saw it a little bit in the first half, get him outside of the pocket. They rolled him out. Had Perry Wilder wide open, right through the hands, right off the helmet. Right into the waiting arms of number 34, William Jenkins.
Watch the end of this. It's right in front of Joe Call, whose hands go right up to his head as this one goes down in front of him.
So after 2 great series, Summerville going to have to ask the defense again to come up strong after the offense gives it right back.
That's the second straight possession for the Green Wave that has lasted 1 play. A fumble and now this pick.
And that'll usually come back and haunt you against a team with as many skill players as the Cedar Grove team.
Look out, here's Jones. He had 5 yards before he was touched, and touched he was once again by Taylor.
Taylor standing about 6'1", 195 or so.
Got to be very close to the end of the 3rd quarter here. And Cedar Grove has changed things up on the first couple of plays of this drive. And now they're back to their own 49 after the bad snap. We haven't seen them with that jumbo package. We haven't seen them as tight to the line at any point in time.
Right.
They're looking at 3rd down and 11.
It's a Colby Taylor effect.
Got to be. We should give some credit to Scipio and Mitchum in there.
They're just holding them up so Taylor can do the damage.
That's right. They're just letting their teammate garner all the attention. Here's Jones following his blockers, keeping his feet. And you almost expected that to be Taylor, didn't you? Instead, it was Cole Phillips.
Cole Phillips putting the face mask right on the numbers. Not seen a tackle like that out of the Green Wave for most of this game. But boy, this is just perfect. Stand him up, set him down. Another great job by the Summerville defense. And like you said, after 2, just 1 play and out, 1 and out for the offense.
I wouldn't think so.
If the offense can find something, they're able to hang around despite less than 60 yards total. Dominguez has trouble with that snap and then puts forth his best effort of the day.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Summerville didn't come with more pressure. They had been pressuring the punter the entire day. He had struggled the entire day. They rushed 1 right there, maybe to try to get a good return. But again, I'd much rather take a 20-yard punt with the possibility of a good return.
And that is the end of the 3rd quarter. So the Green Wave finally backed up closer to their own end. They'll start the 4th quarter at their own 20, looking for some consistency, something their defense has found here in this 3rd quarter.
Time for the offense to wake up.
Let's crunch some numbers here as the sun is trying to set outside of John McKissick Field, the home of the Summerville Green Wave. A touchdown in each of the first 2 quarters for the Saints. And that is where we are as we start the 4th. Crunching the numbers brought to you by Anderson Brothers Bank. We'll go a little bit deeper. Once again, courtesy of David Shelton, able to keep some of these stats. Cedar Grove at about 35 yards in that quarter. compared to almost 300 in the first half. Summerville had about 20. Can they get this offense moving? Bennett's going to give it to Rollins. He's wrapped at the waist pretty quickly and only gets a couple.
Again, that's where, as limited as the numbers have been offensively, that's where they picked up decent yardage between the tackles. Haven't done anything on the outside other than a rollout pass early in the game. But this defense is awfully good, awfully fast, awfully big.
It's not a defense that you will find in this area, and I don't know how many. I'd imagine a few around the Atlanta area and Georgia and Florida can stack up with this, but 3 guys on the line will likely be playing in the SEC. A linebacker can go wherever he wants. Another one has an offer from Navy. This is a talented group, and not mentioned in that group is Quentin Eagle, who led the tacklers there to bring up 3rd down.
Yeah, Quentin Eagle not.
And there's been not a ton to cheer about for the Green Wave fans, but they do get on the Zaxby's fans cam, and that gives you a little bit to cheer about here as Summerville goes for 3rd down. Only 2 first downs in this game for the Green Wave. Jonathan Bennett pulls it. Bennett gets to the edge, and I believe he stepped out shy. He will be a yard shy of the 1st down. He was chased out of there by Jenkins.
Yeah, William Jenkins plays a lot bigger than what he shows at 6 foot 190. To me, he does. But awfully quick on the outside. That'll be an interesting spot. Yeah, it looks like he's spotted it well short. Summerville's going to go for it here on 4th and 2 with nothing to lose.
Yeah, again, they haven't been able to pick up first downs with any type of ease. Just 2 in the game, and Cedar Grove will take a timeout.
You know, a lot of times not being down in the huddle, not being down in the locker room, when you're obviously physically overmatched, when you break down a tape like this, what are you looking for?
I think what will help is the difference between the first half and the second half, if you're talking about Summerville. Particularly on defense, the toughness the physicality that they've shown on the defensive side of the ball. That's night and day from the first 2 quarters. Time for our smooth move of the game. It's brought to you by the Yaden Chiropractic Clinic. Maybe instead it's time for the Will Lou Gray stop of the game. It is. It's going to be the Will Lou Gray Never Stop Learning stop of the game, and that is, in fact, the interception from Jenkins, the man who Dean just said plays a lot bigger than maybe he is listed. Combined between him and Ratcliffe last year, 273 tackles, and both of them are back. Will Lou Gray Never Stop Learning stop of the game, right there. Green Wave just need a yard here, and they're going to be gifted that yard as Dante Walker jumped across the line.
6'3", 227. Once you get that going forward, hard to get it back. So the second first down of the second half, 3rd of the game.
And that's one you remember here. If Summerville turns it over, it goes without saying, a Cedar Grove offense that's been shut down in the second half is primed in good field position. Instead, the drive continues. Here's Bennett. They run a little bit of an option here. And it's that sophomore Rollins who's getting a whole lot of work. Pedro Rios listed as the starter at tailback for the Green Wave. He's got a carry or 2. It's essentially been KJ Rollins there tonight.
I think Seals was the one on the defensive end that bit on Banks that allowed him to pitch the ball on the outside for the first time, really uncontested, to pick up 4.
Bennett listed at 6'1", 205. Is already committed to Liberty. They'll try the middle here, and there's a couple yards there. Look at him fighting.
How about
Still
that?
not down. Reminiscent of the Saints back in the first half. It took Isaiah Radcliffe to finally take him down, but it's another Green Wave first down.
It was like everybody was waiting on a whistle, like waiting on the train that just never came.
And they're going to mark him down. Look at this team. They put him back at the 40. I'm not sure if a whistle blew, but it could very well be the discussion that is ongoing.
Why are they discussing with the offense and not with the coaches?
I mean, there were 5 yards there. He took Radcliffe out to the first down.
Are they saying that there was a forward progress was stopped? But again, there was no whistle. There wasn't a referee waving his hands over his head.
Was there a penalty not seen?
Not a flag on the ground.
Nope.
On the far sidelines, Jermaine Smith's trying to figure out what's going on.
Dalen Powell is pointing to the officiating crew saying, look, this is, spot the ball here. That's Big 77 committed to Western Kentucky. And are we replaying the down? We are. So they're replaying second down here. Now, it's impossible to tell exactly what happened, but the end result, second down again.
I think Summerville would like to have the results of their last play, though.
The first down? It's a little better.
First and down better than 2nd and 7, huh?
Uh-huh. When you've only actually gained 2 first downs all day.
Step inside.
There he goes. He cuts inside the Alabama commit, then he goes outside. And he's able to get only to the 39, the closing speed of William Jenkins.
Elijah Glover had it. He had the block, wide receiver, and then just let him go. Then just released. And again, it takes a while for this play to develop because Bennett had a lot of room to move around. Sees nothing there, and then he's got a hole inside. Puts a nice move. And Glover had Radcliffe locked up and then just let him go.
It resonates to me what Hunter Spivey, the OC, and Joe Call said to me this week. The speed of this defense for Cedar Grove, it's something to behold. They've got the size, but the speed with it. Bennett jumps one out there with an extra move. He's close to a first down. And that is, once again, K.J. Rollins.
Radcliffe holding the back of his left leg on the sideline, coming back inside. I think he was the one that Rollins kind of juked. Interestingly enough, yep, there it was right there. Bennett had Rollins wide open from the get-go with a good 10 or 15 yards of free space. It was not his first target.
This is interesting that no measurement is happening here. Just gazing down at it, that ball is very close, if not even, with the sticks, which is right in front of us.
Well, looking at the Summerville bench, the coaches aren't saying anything about, let's take a look at it.
And now the question is, where will this ball be spotted?
Looked like he fumbled the ball from under the snap.
It certainly didn't look clean, I agree with you.
What the hell are y'all doing down there? He put the ball across the goal.
I said when they look at that one on film, I would bet they'll reconsider and think they probably had the first down there prior to the play.
Yeah, I think the ball backed up.
So that's a first down.
Now they're going to obviously measure.
The ball, based on our replay, which these officials don't have the benefit of seeing.
I don't think this is a first down, but I think the third down was a first down. Does that make sense?
It does. And I also think, this ball lost yards. And where Bennett went down was much closer to that official's foot on the left of your screen. Nonetheless, that's not the call on the field. And Cedar Grove, which if you ask them, they've been on the wrong side of a fair amount of calls. So they'll gladly take this one and take the possession back.
If we got a replay, take a look at what happened there. But it did. I don't know if he lost it underneath him.
Looked like it hit the leg of a lineman But what I was watching were his knees. They at no point went down, and then he lunged forward. But a chance for Cedar Grove to basically put this away, barring an offensive miracle here for Summerville. Both these touchdowns for the Saints came in the first half, and this run isn't going anywhere. I tell you what, the linebacking core for the Green Wave have played exceptionally well, and Cole Phillips picks up another stop, this one 3 yards back.
Yeah, Phillips and Taylor have been really, really good tonight. They get Fortnite weekend pass.
So you will allow them to play Fortnite all week? And?
Yeah, just because they're going to do it anyway, no. That's the
Okay.
Friday Night Rivals Fortnite pass. Looks like a blown play. Summerville right there to stop it as well.
And Boney is back to the initial line of scrimmage, so another long third down staring at the Saints.
Seems like the Saints have had a little bit more momentum, a little bit more energy with Smith behind center. Would you agree?
I think so. The second half feels odd. I don't know if it's Cedar Grove, protecting from
feeling like
future
there's no
opponents.
way their defense is going to give up a point.
Correct. So have they simplified the playbook drastically? That's what it feels
I
like.
think they're going to Hazelwood here.
They'll try again. And Hazelwood is blanketed once again by Gregory.
And he'll pull up. Everything's been, 2 or 3 yards just past him. I think he's had one reception all night. And that was just a little short out route.
All right, your chance to get interactive with the program, and you are so. It's the Summerville cheerleaders who win our cheer of the night. Congratulations to the young ladies. You can pay attention next week as well. And every week, a Friday Night Rivals driven by Cruz Chevrolet. You have a friend in the car business out there on Rivers Ave. And Summerville's found a friend in their defense.
See, they put a little bit more pressure here. Not going to do it.
No, and that snap again was dropped.
It's really odd. They pressured him so much early on, and nothing the last 2 punts.
It's been quite a strange day to kick off high school football here in South Carolina and Georgia. We're somewhere early on in the fourth quarter. Now it's time for the Yaden Chiropractic Smooth Move of the Game. Presented by Yaden Chiropractic, interestingly enough. And it is Mr. Pop Jones. That was a touchdown, the first of the day for the Saints, and that was on the heels of a 49-yard run that set that touchdown up. Robert Pop Jones, 5'11 senior. is your Yaden Chiropractic Clinic smooth move of the game. Alongside Dean Keener, Scott Eisberg. I said Dean Keener.
That's
Dean
all right.
Stevens.
I've been called worse.
Yeah, Dean Keener's a good guy. He's actually from the Atlanta area.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
See, part of the Keener Empire, the John Keener Empire. Something I just saw I haven't seen in a while. Like Jonathan Bennett just kind of walked through the line, the defensive line, kind of talking to each one of those guys as they were kind of in that timeout.
Well, his pocket finally holds up, and Hopkins is on the receiving end of what will be a 9, maybe 10-yard reception there on first down.
I could be totally lying here, but I think there's about 3.5 minutes left in this game.
That's it.
I think. I don't know. I could never be a clock keeper, ever. I've tried it last year. It didn't work out well. Yeah. But I like the throw by Bennett, giving him time. He can spin it.
Rollins, the decoy. Bennett just lost his footing there under Dante Walker. I think there's more around the 5-6 minute mark, but
is that right?
Yeah, but it's just purely guessing here.
Well, when my timer runs out, I'll let you know how we're doing.
Just make sure you're stopping it and starting it at the right time.
I'm trying.
That's Dean Stevens is how he typically gets referred to by his real name.
Yeah.
Scott Eisberg's down there on the sidelines. Bennett dancing around. Only 4 men came after him, and one of them gets there.
Good gracious.
Alvin Williams, who holds an offer from Kentucky, catches up.
I think he's got the cramp. Now, the good thing about the cramps here, we get the stretching it out. You get to see the bottom of the cleats that we were talking about, right?
Yeah,
it's like
shiny.
a silver streak.
Now, the ones I saw were different. They were multicolored.
Oh, really?
A multicolored shine.
Look at him, Ray. They gassed.
But I mean, if you look, oh man, you guys are awesome. Okay, now go to get a camera on the 39-yard line with the sun blazing off of Hazelwood's, and you really see the disco ball effect. But you know the way that these high school kids now and the top prospects. I mean, now it's flash and game, right?
Yeah.
And they're in these awesome 7-on-7s. They're ESPN. They're on the
Watch Stadium. Good things going on with Stadium. Just moved their offices into the United Center, the home of the Bulls, up in Chicago. Brand new studios a couple of months ago. They're putting on
the Zach Smith story.
They did.
Broke the Zach Smith story.
Yeah, just had some huge hires, Brett McMurphy among them. And they've got, I believe, a 22-game high school football package that's coming your way. This is game 2 of Stadium's high school football packages. So we go back down to Scott.
Guys, the amazing thing about having a sideline reporter, I can kind of go up to the ref, put my arm around him, and ask him how much time is left in the game. 6:04 is your answer. So, Dino, start the stop clock right now. 6:04 left in the game. But that also means there is time for Summerville to have the ball down 14 with 6 minutes to play, or 6:04 to be specific.
Hey, Scotty, while you're down there getting all this good scoopage, we've not been explained as to what's wrong with the clock.
Yeah, Joe said it was working perfectly.
No, I don't care about what Joe said. I want to know why the clock's not working now, Scott.
I wear a lot of hats. One of them is not electrician. I can't fix a light bulb in my own house. I have to have my wife do that. There is no way I'm figuring out a Daktronics scoreboard.
All right, we were getting some questions back at the station as to why the clock's not working. So we will let them know that we're calling an electrician, and we're going to find out. Yes, Scott.
My expert advice would be to put the big side of the battery touching the little spring so the pluses and the minuses equal when they put the double A's in there, and we should be good to go. We'll see if they try that.
I'm going to say that's a D battery, Scotty, and not a double A.
That's why there's no
By the way, Scotty, that's a little bit bigger battery than the double A.
Safe to say, Scott, Dean, and I are not starting a contracting or construction or electrical company anytime soon.
Goldwater, Stevens, and Eisberg for all your contracting needs. And we
How
can
about
sponsor
this
the
throw?
third quarter MVP, too.
Very nice.
We got it all covered for
There you go.
It'll
You
be
saw
fourth down now for the Green Wave.
Yeah, they're going to have to punt, but that was about the only time this whole game that we've seen the strength of Bennett's legs and arms kind of come together, kind of just let that ball rip in a good 45, 50 yards.
Hey, we ain't gained that much yards on a foot a night. You think you can do it in one play?
So he says 6 minutes. I don't feel comfortable with that, but I'm not going to argue.
The reason you don't feel comfortable with it is because that's just about right on the nose of what I said.
No, that's not true.
I said around 5 minutes. You said under 3. I'm much closer.
That was wishful thinking.
That's
All
a
right,
good
let's
punt
see
right there from Hopkins.
Yeah. What's he going to do?
He's been taking most of them, even in traffic like that, and finally has a little bit of a seam. Ladies and gentlemen, the first time you've had a chance to see Jaden Hazelwood. He did it all by himself right there, down to the 5.
Punter Brody Hopkins put a lick on him, and he's feeling it right now walking off the field. Hopkins, that is. So it comes up like he's not going to take it, then takes it the last minute. Hopkins with a good pop right there on him.
55-yard return, and he didn't use much of the field. He didn't even get to the hash mark there on the left side.
No. Guy's pretty good.
There's a reason he's one of the top receivers in the country.
Yep.
Probably wasn't a part of our Cruise Chevrolet drive of the game. Cruise Chevy on Rivers Avenue, you've got a friend in the car business. This was in the second quarter. It was Gilstrap who had a chance to handle the load running the football. This drive led by Kendall Boney, and eventually it was paid off by Boney. It put Cedar Grove up 14-0, and that's where the score still stands as the Saints push towards yet another touchdown, but it's Jones who's down in the backfield by Cole Phillips.
Phillips was there, and he had some help with Derek Larry sprinting around the far corner, chasing him down to the backside as well. So we talked all day about where the guys on Cedar Grove, where they're going to be committing to. You're taking a look at all the Summerville kids. We talked about Bennett and Liberty and Dalen Powell to Western Kentucky, and Ben Mitchum's got some offers from Wofford and other FCS programs, as well as Colby Taylor. And then Brody's going to play some baseball at the College Charleston, as is Cole Messina, backup linebacker we've seen a couple times. Just a sophomore, is committed to South Carolina already.
Yeah, he's a catcher, I believe, first and foremost. Messina, third base. It's an early commit right there. Wonder where in 3 years his stock is.
Never know. We started seeing that more and more 4 or 5 years ago, that getting commits from players younger and then younger, they can commit all they want. And then if they don't develop, then you just cut them loose whenever you want to cut them loose.
And if they develop into a prospect, then
you've
potentially going to lose them that way.
Right. Right. Dirty side of the game.
Third down and goal. It'll be a timeout for Cedar Grove, their second one of the half. As we are around 5 minutes, a little bit less than 5 minutes remaining.
I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get this game over without clicking the lights on.
You know they're trying to, though.
I wonder if we tested those.
They take a few minutes to turn on anyway. Here's what we've got coming up for you. West Ashley and James Island will be next week, 6 days from now, in fact, as we play this Friday Night Rivals, especially on a Saturday. So we've got West Ashley off a victory at James Island next week. Stratford also coming off a win.
Denny McDaniel.
That's right. Heck of a way to start the year at his alma mater. And we've got them at Ashley Ridge, followed by Wando at Fort Dorchester. Interested to see what Wando's got this year, although that's obviously a pretty stiff test. And then Bishop England hosting a Timberland team that just lost to Stratford.
Wando lost their starting quarterback in their spring game for the year.
That's tough.
Yes, especially when you just lost your senior quarterback to graduation.
Third and goal. Pressure comes. Oof. Guess who it is? Colby Taylor down on Austin Smith.
How about that? You got Colby jacked.
I'll give it to you.
We're just waiting on it. Just waiting on it. Look at the pressure come up the middle. Got to give a lot to Bryce Scipio as well.
Haven't been a whole lot of first downs for Cedar Grove in this second half. This drive started at the 5. I have them for 1 first down in this half, which gives us 3 total when you combine Summerville's 2 first downs in this half.
Got them across the middle.
And they do. Touchdown, Cedar Grove. And it's Hazelwood's first of the year. He had 17 as a junior last year.
17 touchdown receptions, 9 interceptions last night on the defensive side. But once you get enough breakaway and a little bit of room to move, and the pass was right on the money.
And that's where a guy like Hazelwood with his size could be so effective. Right around the goal line, a slant in. If you're not right on him, you've no shot.
Right. And if you're going to pressure him that way too, all you got to do is just throw it in the back of the end zone and let him go get it in the other direction.
Hazelwood set it up with a 55-yard punt return. He finishes it off with a touchdown reception, and this extra point will back up a couple yards.
I think it's going forward a half a yard.
You're correct.
You did a camera for a game last night? I did the camera for CFC soccer.
So 3.5 to go or so.
Or no, I was.
So, Dean, with 3.5 or so to go, our very own award-winning Low Country Orthopedics and Sports Medicine providers present us with the player of the game.
Here we go.
And who's it going to be? We've got our incredible production crew back there. They've been working hard here today to kick off our Friday Night Rivals schedule, driven by Cruise Chevy. And we left it up to them to name our player of the game, brought to you by Low Country Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. I think we'll go with, Robert Pop Jones. There he is. Right here, you could see the difference in Summerville defense first half and second half.
Yep, absolutely.
Jones pinballs his way around for that one.
And that was the entire first half, by the way.
Oh, you'll see it again right here. This was the 49-yard run. And then he finishes off this drive with a touchdown of his own. And I think this is where he was untouched, right? Maybe one hand got him? Yeah.
Yeah, sliver of a hand.
Get back in the game with fast access to Low Country Orthopedic and Sports Medicine's 5 locations. They're in Summerville, North Charleston, Moncks Corner, and Daniel Island.
Now, the good thing for everybody that came out today who wanted to deal with the early heat, manageable, much better right now as the lights do kick on, is that in 3 years from now, you're going to go, man, I saw that kid play in high school. And we've said that a lot around the Low Country. There's a lot of great players that have come through here. I saw Roscoe Crosby play here. Remember Roscoe Crosby?
I do.
Really, really good ball player. Great baseball player as well. Went to Clemson, wide receiver, I believe, from Union.
A.J. Green, his high school career was played on this field. In fact, I think I say this a lot now.
Do you?
I did see his very first touchdown.
As an 8th grader.
As a Green Wave. Well, technically he was in the 9th grade. Nice little return here from Rollins. Sanford can't bring him down, and Rollins is out to the 30. Summerville's had a couple guys go on to NFL careers. Fort Dorchester, not too far away from here. Loading up with NFL talent now.
It's funny, we had this conversation on the set the other day, and you could see the age difference between Iceberg and myself. 20 years, by the way. And then it just escalated quickly to where I was like, you could be my son, so stop talking now.
Is that what you're telling me?
Right?
Stop talking?
No.
Heard enough of your A.J. Green stories.
No, but it was like, who's the best player that you've seen around? Who's the best player to come out of the Low Country? Right? So his was from, that A.J. Green era.
Right.
Right? Mine, I'm sorry, but
Courtney Brown.
There really wasn't a better player than Courtney Brown. Right? Norman Hand was unstoppable on so many different levels.
He's talking about unstoppable. Dante Walker will just chase Bennett out of bounds, but he tossed aside K.J. Rollins to get into the backfield.
Tell you what, this is a tough go for a first game of the season. 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Not sure how many times these kids practice down in Georgia when they're 2-a-day start. Thanks.
But it's hot there, too.
I know. It's hot in Georgia, man.
But it's a tough opener for both. Cedar Grove has to travel here. And for Summerville, this is the best defense that they'll see all year, and it's coming right now.
Yeah, here we go. Love this.
Yeah,
Love this.
You know what's funny is this happens seconds after I was about to point out some lightheartedness between
Yeah,
Bennett.
no. Watch 66. Doesn't like that little late push. And then he's like, who is that? Dante Walker's like, come on, come over here. Ricky's like, do not mess with, that's my quarterback.
And then he got the flag thrown on him.
Yeah. That's all right.
You know what? The flag may have been thrown on Cedar Grove. The Summerville players are pointing that way. It was. So Dante Walker, I guess, must have said something or did
or
something.
Maybe they threw the flag on the come and get it, like the money sign. Couldn't tell what kind of sign it was.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Let's ask the grandfather of high school sports, David Shelton, who's sitting 5 chairs away. Who's the best player to ever come out of here, the Low Country? If you had a draft, you had the first player taken, who would you take?
All right,
so
he's siding with me. A.J. Green, Courtney Brown. Courtney, who went on, that Joe Hamilton, another really good one.
Oh, yeah, by the way, Pearson Prelo played in the NFL for like 12 years.
And Courtney Brown didn't make it that long. Andre
No.
Banks maneuvers his way for a first down. Brown went to Penn State and then drafted by the Browns and was beset by injuries for the rest of his career.
Yeah, and that was that part of Berkeley County up by the old Macedonia, Bono. And that was Cliff Dingle, and played at Penn State, defensive back. He was the first to kind of lead the way. Pearson Prelo was part of that crew. Harvey Middleton, Joe Hamilton. There's a ball right there.
Yeah, Bennett finally had time to throw, and Hopkins just couldn't bring it in.
Hopkins was about to surpass his brother in any great highlight that ever came up as a Hopkins. I would imagine TJ is here somewhere. It's a pretty good ball right there, by the way. Almost counted not once but twice.
We're probably pretty late in the fourth quarter here, just judging by the way they're playing down there right now. The rush isn't coming on Bennett as quickly. He's got some room. He's got some room here as well.
I'm going to tell you what, I don't want to be an old man about this, but if I'm Joe Call, I'm not sure that Jonathan Bennett's still in the game for me right now.
Take him out. Just preserve him.
I'm just gonna take him out. We got a lot of, not that this isn't a meaningful game, but in the big scheme of things, this game means nothing. Game against Fort Dorchester, Stratford, those are the games that mean something.
How about Scott Eisberg down there? He wants to chime in on this conversation. I
Oh,
bet.
gosh. What do you got, Eisberg?
You guys are crazy if you pick anybody over Bruce Ellington. His stats are better than anybody's, and he won a state championship in 4A in 2009. Bruce Ellington, hands down, would be the player that I would take.
Wait a minute. Eisberg, when we were talking about this the other day, his name didn't even come up.
Yes, it did.
Don't tell me Ellington's better than A.J. Green.
I said I would take Bruce Ellington over A.J. Green. The other one I would take, who's also a guy who led a team to a state championship game, is The Rock, Rockarius King at Timberland, who is phenomenal.
I'm going to tell you right now, in the old Walterboro teams, there were like 20 players better than Rock King.
No,
yes.
no.
Oh, my
But
God.
Regardless.
Davis was better than him. Darwin Walker, Kenny Walker. All of the Walkers were better than him.
How about Stanford Jennings?
Well, regardless, I am going Bruce Ellington, and you're not going to change my mind on that one. Ellington was unbelievable at Berkeley. Well, I think it was like 6 touchdowns he had in that semifinal game against Goose Creek, the overtime one. Never seen somebody dominate a game like Bruce, because he played quarterback. The ball was always in his hands.
Bruce Ellington texted. He said the check's in the mail, Scott.
You think he was better than Dantes Beneman?
Better than everybody.
Better than everybody. He ran about as fast as your mouth, kid.
As we indoctrinate Scott into our Friday Night Rivals
By the
broadcast.
way, this is awesome. This is his first appearance on Friday Night Rivals as our third member of the team, and it will be his last as well because he's back Friday nights doing the high school show with Darren Stoltzfus and ABC News 4. Friday Night Rivals, the big show. Last night, you know what he did? Crazy Scotty.
What did he do?
He drove down to Georgia to go cover Fort Dorchester and Glenn Academy. Scotty, tell me this. I know you're down there somewhere.
Did he make it back for the show?
Tell me, so what were your thoughts on Fort Dorchester? And go back to the original question, the argument that we had during our preview show on Facebook, right? You want to Bishop England going to miss their quarterback more than Fort Dorchester's going to miss to carry on?
The original conversation we had. I said the team that would miss their quarterback the most would be Baptist Hill and Corey Fields because he put up ridiculous numbers and let him do a state title game. But yeah, Leo Albano, I would say slightly less will be missed than DeCarrion Joyner at
So how
Fort
did Fort
Dorchester.
look last night?
No, I thought they looked really good last night. To go up 28-0 on a team that went to the 7A state semifinal game down in Georgia, that's pretty impressive. The only problem with Fort is they just flat out ran out of gas last night. Steve LaPrade said basically they didn't have enough time to practice outdoors this preseason, so his team just wasn't, well trained enough. The rain hurt them, but bottom line, when you go up 28-0, you see the team they are, and DeAndre Sabb at quarterback, I don't think they're losing very much with DeCarrion Joyner gone now at South Carolina.
Thank you, Scotty.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to this game, somewhere very late in the fourth quarter, here is Banks, and Banks gets his way inside the 5. There you go. The Green Waver on the board. 23-yarder there from Bennett to Banks.
See, we know how to just ask Scotty to be quiet right at the same time. Little swing pass, getting to the outside, make some nice moves inside and outside. Hazelwood with a Dion attempt. Gets nothing.
I mean, getting Scott to be quiet at the right time is tough. Getting him to be quiet at any time is remotely challenging.
Hazelwood down with look like he's been battling cramps for the last hour or so. So a great way to kick off week 0 of Friday Night Rivals. And our friends at Cruise Chevrolet, got to thank them for choosing to be a part.
That's right. You got a friend in the car business, Cruise Chevy over on Rivers Avenue. And after that punt return, the touchdown, and then playing some safety, Hazelwood will get helped off the field. And what's tough for him and really the rest of this team, we've seen a couple guys cramping up, and after this game, they're jumping on a bus and they're driving back to Atlanta. Obviously, he's not hurt too bad if they're bouncing him along as they run him off the field. So this 5 o'clock kickoff night is starting to fall here. And Summerville finally has its first points on the board. Bennett to Banks with the extra point tacked on.
Again, nice quick out pass. It's been one of their most effective plays earlier in the game when Cedar Grove was putting on the pressure. And again, what Scotty said a little bit about Fort Dorchester looks maybe like Cedar Grove has maybe run out of gas a little bit. But again, up 21-0 late in the fourth quarter. But I think you see what Summerville can be. You've seen the running back effect. It can be really good, especially with the young kid. And then you see what Bennett can do when he spins the ball, because he can be pretty good.
Yep. And meanwhile, Cedar Grove coming into this year trying to get a new offensive line together, trying to decide on one quarterback, or maybe they will continue with this dual quarterback system. Despite those question marks, they felt more comfortable about this offense than last year's that lost in the state semifinals, the 3A level down in Georgia, and of course that defense. It's not going to give up a whole lot of points down in Georgia either.
They play on ESPN next Saturday in Alabama. So my question to you, is that a game that you'll watch a little bit of?
Oh, yeah. I'll definitely watch some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, those are some of the things, the sport of high school football, as it gains more and more.
It's blown up, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
publicity nationwide. It's become, the talent level is increasing at such a rate that it's becoming a really good product.
Very good product.
And one that certainly is sellable for the networks.
Right.
Summerville goes for the onside kick, which is covered there by the Saints. But it'll be interesting. You know, it's another test for Cedar Grove. Hewitt-Trussville is always one of the better teams down in Alabama. And then a couple weeks after that, they're taking on a 7A team down in Georgia, McEacher. So they said to me without question, they said, look, we got to be ready for that game. So this is the first time Cedar Grove has ever traveled out of state. It's really a county that doesn't have a whole lot of funds at their disposal, which is why they drove here, and they're going back tonight. He said, you know, so we're taking these 2 trips in hopes that it really gets us ready for that 7A game, then a bye week, and then their region.
I saw where they had set up a GoFundMe page to help with the travel expenses for both this trip and then the one down to Alabama.
What's interesting, they don't have their own stadium. They play in a county stadium. They don't take any money from their concessions. They make basically nothing. The coaches raise the money for this program. And yet, despite the challenges, you're talking about a team that is 27-3 in their last 30 games after they put this one away. Despite a late touchdown from the Green Wave, Cedar Grove dominated that first half with the exception of some penalties, and then methodically put this one away here at McKissick Field. 21-7 your final. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you from Summerville.
Welcome back, guys. It smells like victory around here. It smells like sweat, too. It's going to smell on that 5-hour bus ride home, but it is going to be a good one for you guys. A lot of smiles with a big opening weekend win. First, our player of the game right here. Congratulations, Low Country's Orthopedics player of the game. You get that's kind of a collectible T-shirt. You don't find those around Atlanta, Coach. What did you think about the effort of your team today?
They did a great job of fighting through adversity, man. We had some things that we really had to fight through. The kids did a good job of keeping on fighting, so we're happy with it.
Their defense seemed to pick things up in the second half, but you guys just kind of held strong, got the job done, and finished it out. How proud of you were you? How proud of this team were you to get that 21 points and get out of here with a win?
Real proud of defense, man. Offensively, we got some work to do. of course, but defensively we did a great job because we kept on the field a lot in the second half.
How big is next week down in Alabama for you guys?
Real big. We're finna start working on it tonight.
Tonight?
We might start working on it on the bus.
Even before you get to the bus?
We get back to the bus.
Congratulations, guys. You got a long ride home. We got something for you for the ride home. Enjoy this.
Three-stripe life, baby.
Congratulations go towards Cedar Grove, Coach Jermaine Smith and the Saints. Thanks to all our sponsors for making FNR possible. Next week, we're heading out to James Island. So catch us there, Friday Night Rivals on Friday night at James Island. 21-7, your final score tonight. Cedar Grove takes this one back to Georgia. We'll see you next week. Friday Night Rivals is driven by Cruz Chevrolet. For my partners, Dean Stevens, Scott Eisberg, our entire crew, nice job today. We'll see y'all next week. I'm Darren Goldwater.
Channel 1, Channel 2. Channel 1, Channel 2. Channel 1, Channel 2.